Johnson. I am a certified school psychologist.
Hi, Dr. Umar. I'm so happy that you're my principal. I love FDMG. Can you tell me about the school?
We are going to make history. We are going to shock the world. We are going to transform the entire community, one black boy at a time. In this school, you don't have to worry about special education. In this school, you don't have to worry about ADHD diagnoses. In this school, you will never get a phone call from a teacher or an administrator telling you that your child needs dangerous psychiatric medication in order to get an education.
All right, Cookie Crush Chats in the building, another live stream. Let's go all night. Had a wonderful show last night and the day before. The marathon continues today. Cookie Crush Chats undefeated. Let's go.
FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. It's coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG it's coming. 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 Oh, it's coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. Thought his personality be twerking. It's twerking.
Yeah, Maurice, that was Miguel. That was Miguel Jackson. Yeah. he was at the, I think it was the second block party. He was getting down. He was getting down pretty good. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. I appreciate it. Today, what I'd like to do is finish up with the video, Umar Johnson's interview with Father David, which was from the 31st of last month. I want to finish that up. But, and I know yesterday I told people that we're going to get right on into it, but there's a couple of things I just want to make people aware of. Some of you guys may already know it already. Oh, Patrick's birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday in advance, Patrick. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. All right. If we live stream tomorrow, I'm not sure if we will or not. If we do, and you're here, remind us. Okay. Happy birthday. There's a couple things I want to make people aware of. This kind of been going on behind the scenes. Umar posted on his Instagram page today. He's also gone live twice. I want to review those videos. I just want to outline something. They're short. He doesn't even say anything in the videos. And the question becomes why? Why is he just getting up there and filming himself? Umar, he doesn't have any friends. He's a lonely person. He doesn't have a family. He doesn't have a wife. Doesn't have a girlfriend. He doesn't even have his own home. He lives off of his mother. His mother stays in Section 8 housing. These are all verifiable facts. And so in terms of establishing relationships, someone that made a comment, I can't remember where I saw the comment. I think it was on a post for one of these live streams from this week. They said how Umar, he's burned so many bridges. So you don't hear people come out to talk about how they're working with Umar. He says he has a team, but he doesn't have a team. You don't hear people say, women come out and say, hey, listen, I was in a long-standing relationship with Umar. That never happened. In all the years that I've heard Umar speak, he's always talked about dating. And when he talks about relationships, it's never in a long-standing relationship. Well, part of the reason why is that Umar, he doesn't have the personality type to develop long-standing relationships. And so therefore, he's always alone in the end. He has his mother, and he says that's his only friend. He said that in February of 2014. He says that he has one friend, that's his mama. But that relationship, it's an enmeshment relationship. It's one where Umar's the dependent. Okay? His mother, she gets, what is it called, SSI. She also is on Section 8 housing. So he's able to stay there when he can. He's been homeless since 2019. He's in control of her finances. And on top of that, he's collecting all of these millions of dollars at this point of Black people's money and has nothing to show for it except these abandoned buildings in Wilmington, Delaware. And the question becomes, why is it that Umar would go up here and live stream by himself and there's nothing going on? It's in the evening time. It's not like there's any renovations that are taking place here. There's no renovations that are taking place here. He's just sitting up here casually, and there's two things. Number one, he's trying to gauge his audience. He wants to see how people are responding to him, because a lot of people have recoiled from Umar. A lot of people, they see him as the charlatan and the con man that he is. He's a pariah in the Black conscious space. More and more people are waking up. And furthermore, more and more people are speaking out about Umar and criticizing him. So this is what he does. He goes up here to live stream because he doesn't have anything else going on. Clearly he's not renovating. And this is his way to kind of gauge to see how his audience is responding while he's live streaming. See how he's reading the comments? Now, his own followers are going in on him these days. Okay, that's telling in and of itself. How does he get to this point? We're talking about 2 decades of scamming Black people. And then, of course, towards the beginning of this year, Umar Johnson, his daughter, comes out and exposes him as a deadbeat. He goes back at her, disparages her, tells his followers to go and attack her online. He also disparages his baby mothers, 2 of them. He has 3. He doesn't claim the 3rd because he was in his early 40s when he impregnated her and she was in her early 20s. The point is that there's been a slew of events that have taken place. Of course, Lenon came out and spilled the beans on Umar. That blew up the spot big time. And so Umar, he responds to that. He goes on a rant. He talks very reckless. A lot of people recoiled from Umar, including his followers, because of that. And so this is the first video right here. And here's the second one. This is the one he did last night. He doesn't say anything. And then he goes in, he does a fish tank video where he starts to talk about how Lenon may have stole his bank account information. People did not like the fact that Umar, including his followers, they did not like the fact that Umar, he was disparaging a woman that he had intimate relationships with, and he was fine with her at that time. But when she exposes him for being a fraud, but also more importantly, his mother's living conditions, Umar goes on this massive rant. He sets up this hotel about how she may have stole his bank account information. Then he comes back and does another video where he's talking about how potentially Lenon and I hacked his bank accounts and the bank account was frozen, but then he said it was canceled, but then he said it was frozen again. And then it goes back and forth and back and forth. The story doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He starts to beg for money for himself and also for his mother. And then he comes back and does another video where he deletes that video, but we covered that one as well. And it's compounded itself. It's gotten worse and worse and worse and worse for this guy. That's why he has to get online like this. And he doesn't want to say anything. He just wants to kind of gauge to see how his audience is responding. And a lot of his audience, they're done with this guy. All right. So I just want to set that up because at some point, Umar has to come back and live stream where he's talking to beg for money because he doesn't have a job. He hasn't worked consistently since 2010, 2011. The money has dried up, obviously. Okay, it's not like he's doing any renovations. He said renovations were complete in 2023, but he said he's still doing renovations in 2025. There's another lie right there. The money's gone. Most of the money that Umar has collected, he spent it on his own person. And this goes all the way back to at least 2014. But there are people who have stated that they contributed back in 2009, 2008, and 2007 to FDMG. So I just want to set this stage before we get deeper into the receipt I want to show you all. Then we're going to get to the video and we'll finish up with the Father David interview. So all of this is to say, if we go back even before all of this started to take place, there is something that took place that I told people was the first domino that was going to drop to wherein you're going to see this effect over time. It's like a house of cards and you take one card out and it's going to tilt, and it's going to tilt the structure, and then it's going to tilt, and then it's going to fall over. Well, I want to ask the question, what was that card? What was that domino? Anybody in chat room remember? I told people. What was the domino that fell, the card that fell, that set things in motion for Umar to where things are at it? He's in a really bad situation. I mean, he's been in a bad situation for a long time, but I mean, right now, I've never seen in all of my research dealing with Umar, I've never seen him this low. Okay. Someone could say that this is rock bottom. I'm not quite sure. It could be. What was that first domino? No, it's not Lene. Even before that, not the daughter. See, that's why I set that up for you guys. I went piece by piece by piece. There's something that took place prior to all of this. And there it is. It was the Cash App. See, everything that has come after is really symptomatic of the deeper issue, because Umar's issue is he's trying to scam people out of money. And his primitive mode of doing that was Cash App. Okay. See, no. Even before the frozen bank account, we got to go back. And I remember I told people, I said, you guys give this a couple of months. You give this 2-3 months, and then we're going to start to see. Anybody remember this is the one? I said, you give this 2 or 3 months, and then we're going to see the impact that this has on Umar. You see, that Cash App getting shut down had a major impact on Umar. I would dare say, I would argue that if that Cash App was still active, Umar would not have been in the situation where he's begging for money inside of his car for himself and for his mama, and how he makes up this fabricated story about his bank accounts being frozen. I don't think his bank accounts were ever frozen. I think he just concocted that, and he ties it to Lene, that she was trying to hack his bank account information. He ties it to me. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I don't know what you talk about, Umar, that somehow I hacked his bank account. All that said, but see, if that Cash App money was coming through that Cash App this whole time, he wouldn't have had to get into that position. And even once they inform him that this is going to potentially go to sheriff's sale, the buildings are going to go to sheriff's sale, and they informed him back in March 7th of 2025. If that Cash App had been active, he had been collecting money since the for that time period, from the time period that it got canceled to up until that time, he would have had the money to pay this off. That sets everything in motion, that Cash App getting shut down. And then everything else that I told you all in sequence, boom, 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 boom. And then here we are today with where Umar is at. Now, speaking of today, I want to share something with you. I'm not going to speak on this for too long. I just want to, because some of you guys may not be aware of this. Thank you guys, everyone inside the Cougar Chat for tuning on. Cougar Chat undefeated. Redmond said he was born. Hey, Farby, how you doing? What's up, Derek? Thank y'all for tuning on in. Narcs in the buildings as well. Okay, so I want to show something to you guys here, and I won't speak on too much of this, but I think you guys need to be made aware of this. So this is from an hour ago. Oh wait, no. This is from, I think it's 2 days ago. Yeah, it says an hour because that's when I took the screenshot. And this just kind of ties everything back together what we were talking about before. The FDMG Academy received no communication from the city of Wilmington from March 7th. Remember I told you about the March 7th letter through the August 8th sheriff lien posting on our front door, threatening to sell our schools in 5 months. The only communication was the telephone calls that I made to the city the first week of April trying to seek clarity. We never received any phone calls. Again, we never received any communications, phone, email, postal mail, from anyone from the March 7th letter to August 8th, even though we paid off an entire $30,000 water bill, which is something separate from this other situation. I've talked about that. We talked about this yesterday. We were kept completely in the dark for the 5 months. It doesn't matter. They told him about this going back to March 7th, and that's more than enough time. March all the way to what, October, for him to handle and rectify this. He could have gone into a payment plan even back then, because they offered him a payment plan, more recently. He could have done this back in March 7th, but he doesn't handle business. He's busy traveling all over the world. Additionally, the money's gone. He's not a good steward of the money. So that's another issue on top of all this. But Umar has every excuse in the book and to paint himself as if he's a victim. He's always the victim. It's never his fault, and he never holds himself accountable for anything. It says, we believe that once our accounts were frozen, someone inside the city machine decided that the time was right to try and steal our property. So now he's coming up with this grand conspiracy theory. Remember before, it was me and Lene had hacked his bank accounts. Remember that one? And then his bank accounts got frozen. And then it was the bank. The bank was trying to sabotage him. You see how all this goes? And then so a lot of people realize that Umar, he's a charlatan, he's a con man, and they knew that he was on some bullshit. So he has to come up with a whole nother narrative. And in this case, it's about now it's the city. They're trying to steal these buildings and they're trying to do it clandestinely. And he didn't know anything about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. See this? Trying to steal our property without us even knowing. This guy, he's something else. He is something else. Someone said, shout out to mama, Christine Blackwood. Shout out to mama, Christine Blackwood in the building. Shout out to Mama Christine Blackwood in the building. All right. Okay. And then it goes on to say, and still the property without us even knowing, someone may have suspected that I would be out of the country. What? And never see the sheriff posting taped to our front doors. So I mean, he really goes crazy with this stuff. It's just foolishness. Now, this was a couple of days ago. I want to show you guys what he posted today, and then we're going to get to the video for today. This is for today. It says, today, the police and elderly association came to my mother's home for, notice he says his mother's home, because Umar doesn't have a home. He's been homeless since 2019, living off of his mama. Today, the police and elderly association came to my mother's home for another wellness check, the third wellness check in 4 weeks. I'm rather certain that my eldest sister and possibly the other relatives are working with my detractors to have my mother removed from my care. Now, the detractors, I don't know if he's trying to say that that's me. I ain't got nothing to do with whatever's going on with that. But see, Umar wouldn't even be in this position in the first place if he was handling business. Okay, the care, understand that Umar is supposed to be the primary caretaker. He allegedly is supposed to be the primary caretaker for the past 7.5 years. How are you the primary caretaker when you're traveling all over the world? How are you the primary caretaker when you don't even have your own home? How are you a primary caretaker when you don't even have your own vehicle? How are you the primary caretaker when you did have your own place? Clearly, you were living in filth. How are you out of all people, Umar? How are you going to take care of someone? You can't even take care of yourself. You've been living off of black people since 2011. I'm gonna say it again. Umar, how are you going to take care of anyone when you've been living off of black people since 2011? It's 2025. You're also living off of your mama too, homeboy, which is a disgrace. You're 51 years old. Get it together. Okay, how are you going to take care of anybody when back in 2019, when you had your own place, and you accidentally flipped that phone? Here you go.
Strong alpha male, send those resumes in. FDMG resumes at gmail.com. FDMG resumes at gmail.com. FDMG resumes at gmail.com is what we're looking for.
Y'all see this? Umar's the primary caretaker for his mama. This is his last residence in 2019. For the rest of 2019 and going into 2020, Umar was living in and out of hotel, motel rooms off the donors' money. I have receipts on all of this. Then he moves into his mama's Section 8 housing, takes up the whole second floor, and has her living in filth. Obviously, look, understand that if you're living in filth like this, Umar, this filth transfers. In fact, some of this filth was stored and still is stored over in the abandoned buildings in Wilmington, Delaware. Inside the large gym, the vandalism, that same big back TV that you see back there, it's inside of the gym right now, the large gym. It's been sitting in there for 6.5 years. Umar, how are you going to be the primary caretaker of anyone when you can't even take care of your own damn self, let alone keep this room clean? At this time, you were what, 40, 45 years old? How is this possible? Someone make this make sense. I'll wait. Can anyone make this make sense? I'm not done. I'm just getting warmed up. Hold on a second. He moves a lot of this stuff into the gym. Do I need to show the receipt? Give me a second. He's the primary caretaker. You can't even take care of your own damn self, homeboy. Living in filth at that age. My teenage son is more clean than you are, Umar. That's a damn shame. Give me 1 second. I think this is it right here. See that big back TV back there? Watch this. This is from this year. I forgot to mention part of Umar trying to get money out of people was the vandalism. Just another one in all of this. Somebody said world star content. Oh my God. World star content. See, he said it destroyed my private book collection of 5,000 titles. Why is it that your private book collection is being stored inside of a large gym up there at these abandoned buildings? Aren't those buildings supposed to be for educating black boys? No, Umar turned these buildings into his own personal storage space. That's why he doesn't even show. And this was from this year right here. When he showed this video, but this vandalism, this is years old. You can tell because there's dust all on top of stuff, and then there's paint on top below it. See, if it was brand new, there wouldn't be dust on top of the paint. Hit the one. That's what I'm saying. Critical thinking, it wins every single. Hit the one. That's not new. This is years old. See, back in 2019, when Umar got evicted out of this filth shit right here, this filth, he got evicted out of here. He starts living in and out of hotels and motels. Then he moves in with his mama, and he takes all of this shit and he stores it inside of FDMG. Again, let me be clear about something. He showed this video this year right here. This is all old too, by the way. This is old vandalism, damage. But prior to him showing this, he hadn't even shown the inside of this large gym since 2019. It was about 6 years. He waited 6 years to show it, but that's because he's trying to spin a narrative that the vandalism, he's being persecuted. He's always a victim, and then he wants to beg for money as a consequence. It always comes down to that. The bank account situation, beg for money. His mama situation, beg for money. Lenon allegedly stealing his bank account information. Beg for money. It's just one thing after another this year with this guy, but it all comes back to money. Why? Like I said before, that Cash App got shut down. Watch this. See the suitcase? Did y'all see the suitcase? This is all Umar stuff. He moved all the stuff in there back in 2019. That's why he didn't show this large gym for 6 years. Look. See, picture frames, pictures, and all this other stuff. All this was at his old hoarder residence back in 2019. You see how, look at all the dust on top. You see the dust on top of everything? This shit's been sitting in here for years. This vandalism is years old. See the books with dust on top of the books? Look at that beat. Look, I want to show y'all something. Look way in the back and look at all that filth lined up against that yellow wall. That wasn't there back in 2019. I don't even know I don't even know where he gets that from. Where do you get all of that shit from even to put back there? You guys understand what I'm saying? Where do you even get that from? Matter of fact, none of this was in there when Umar acquired these abandoned buildings back in 2019. In fact, let me show you something else just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Look at this.
Peace and love, black family. This is the Prince of Pan Africanism, King Kong consciousness. We live in.
This is the same gym. 2019, 2025. Umar's turned this into his own personal storage.
Inside the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, Fred Douglass building. I'm gonna let you show some of the scholars at E5.
See that? None of this trash and filth is in there. No dust, none of that stuff.
Look at their university.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Black
We in the
power.
school.
Black power. Black power.
You know what I mean?
Black power. Black power.
See, you can see the bleachers right behind. You see that? Now look at the other image. You can see the video with all the filth and trash. You see the bleachers back there? He got shit stacked up on top of the bleachers.
Up in there.
Yeah, baby.
And look at that wall. You see how that wall is clear? There's nothing up against it. Now look at the other video from 2025. Look at all that trash and shit back there. You see it? I don't even know where he gets that from.
Looking out for.
You see that? There's the backboard and the basketball hoop. You can see it in both sides. Umar is the primary caretaker for somebody.
You know what I mean? So tell me what's your thing? Give me some words, Gail. What do you think so far to walk through the tour?
It's
How
nice.
you liking the school?
It's nice.
This is great. Again, he didn't have to show this because it's been sitting there for years. So why does he show it? Because he wanted to get money out of people. That Cash App got shut down. See the fitted caps? And see the shoes, the red, black, and green. It looks like some Nikes. I remember he showed those shoes years ago. He was all bragging about it. But look at all this stuff ends up going into this small gym, the large gym. The small gym has been turned into a storage space too, by the way. That's why he hasn't shown that in years. And did you see that? There's that big back TV. That's from his old apartment where he was living like a hoarder. Look.
Peace.
See it over there in the corner?
G resumes. At.
See it? Trash all over the place. He's supposed to be the primary caretaker for his mama. So the point that I want to get to bring it all back around is that Umar, he doesn't even know how to take care of himself. So how's he going to be the primary caretaker while he's traveling the world? And he's filthy.
L.com is what we're looking for.
I mean, just filthy. All right. Let me get back to this screenshot. So today, the Police and Elderly Association came to my mother's home for another wellness check. The third wellness check in 4 weeks. I'm rather certain that my eldest sister and possibly other relatives are working with my detractors to have my mother removed from my care. Umar, Lene already spilled the beans in terms of your mother's living conditions. She sent me some more text messages too, and it's sad. It's sad. A text message exchanges between Umar and Lene. It's really sad. I haven't reported on those, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now, Umar. He has not been taking care of his mother. He has not. My mother has 7 children, and not one of them have ever contacted me to help care for her in these 7.5 years. That's not true. Umar, he's taking his mother prisoner, and he hoards his mother like he was hoarding when he flipped that phone. It's the same thing. It's the same mentality, and he won't let anyone interact with her. He won't let her children interact with her. He wouldn't even let her own mother, Umar's grandmother, interact with her prior to the grandmother passing away, rest in peace. The grandmother came to Umar Johnson's mother's residence and was knocking on the door to try to see her because Umar's been hoarding her and keeping her prisoner and keeping her cooped up inside of that row house. And Umar would not let her see her daughter, and she passes away. Rest in peace. That's what we're dealing with here when we talk about Umar. So the notion that somehow no one ever wanted to help care. First of all, Umar, you can't even care for yourself. The reason why he's so attached is because he needs a place to come home to because he's been homeless since 2019. The reason why he's so attached is because he's in charge of his mother's finances. See, Umar, he hasn't worked consistently since 2010, 2011, living off of his mama now at the age of 51, collecting millions of dollars at this point, and she's in Section 8 housing. Only coming by to cause strife and constantly making frivolous complaints against me to try to have her removed from my care, your care. You're traveling all the time, Umar. See, I'm going to tell y'all something else. One of the things that has happened, and I anticipated this, is that because of the pressure that's been put on Umar since Lene came out and talked about his mother's living conditions, and then his Umar's nephew, I interviewed him, and what he shared in terms of Umar and how he treats his mother. You guys realize that the mother refers to Umar as the devil? What does that tell you? So what has happened is you have people who have firsthand accounts dealing with Umar and knowing about the grandmother situation, but then you have all of these new critics on YouTube and other places who are going in on Umar. Good. So the pressure continues to mount. So what happens as a consequence, because now the information is out there in terms of the mother's living conditions, there are people who have reported her living conditions, and so there are people who are coming to check. Umar won't open up the door. But see, now guess what? Umar, he can't go and do what he wants to do, which is to travel around the world and crush cookies. You see how all this comes back? See, Umar, all this comes back around. Umar, I tried to warn you a long time ago, and I told you what you needed to do, but you didn't listen. See, and then go look at his calendar. There's a reason why his calendar is the way that he is. He can't see if he's the primary caretaker. He can't, especially right now, because the block is hot. Hit the one. The block's been hot, but it's hot right now. He can't do what he normally does, which is travel around the world and leave his mama up there inside, basically a hostage in her own residence. She can't even get out the door. What do I mean by that? Well, there is a door, but she's wheelchair bound. She can't get through that door with the wheelchair. And then there's steps. So she can't walk down the steps, even if she tried to get down there. She can't do nothing without someone else's help unless she was in the wheelchair already. And then she could get, what they did was they carved out on the side of this row house. They carved out this section, literally. And there's a ramp. And the ramp is actually outside, but it goes up and it goes up to the door, up into that little thing, that the little area that's carved out. And she would roll out onto it, and then it will lower her down, and then she would be able to go. But she can't even do that. Why? Because Umar is a fucking hoarder, and he's hoarded all kinds of shit in front of the door that she would need in order to get out the house. What kind of man? See, and now that everything is so hot, Umar, he has to try to handle this the best way he can. I bet you, I bet you, Umar's dirty ass, I bet you he's up in there trying to clean up and shit as much as he can, trying to throw away as much shit as he can, so that if at any point, if there's some sort of a court order where the authorities gain access and they go up in there, that it's going to look halfway decent. Because otherwise, if they go in there he's a hoarder. Obviously, what they're going to do, they're going to have to make sure that they get, first of all, get his ass up out of there, because he's not supposed to be standing anywhere. That's her residence. He's not on the deed either. That's Section 8 housing. Already done all the research on all this. Shouldn't say the deeds. He's not on the rental agreement. And so then what does Umar do? He can't live off of his mama no more. And then the mama would go to someone who can care for her properly, probably a family member or a group of family members. But Umar has been hoarding her from family members, including her own mother. Rest in peace. And then he says, frivolous complaints against me to try to have her removed from my care. This is unfortunate and painful. See, here we go with the woes me shit to Umar. If you had been handling business from the first, if you were a good son, I should even say that. If you were a good son, you would have been taking care of your mother properly from the beginning. So you've been living it up for the last 7.5 years since you've been the primary caretaker. You've been living it up and using your mother as a crutch. You can always go back to mama. You can always go back to mama. You can always go back to mama. That's why I used to live stream inside your mama closet. But since I start calling you out more and more, you stop live streaming inside your mama closet. What do I mean too, by the way, Umar live streaming inside of his mama closet? Let me do this real quick, and we're gonna get to the video. This is Umar's mama's closet right here. And he accidentally flipped the phone. And you see how all of his shit is in there. It's again, hoarder. Just like he was a hoarder at his own residence back in 2019. Well, he was a hoarder here in 2020. This is from 2020, this video right here. You all do the math. See, even have a sack of potatoes in there. If you look at the bottom of my right-hand corner, I don't know if it's your right or your left, but the bottom right-hand corner for me, that's a sack of potatoes. Wall all filthy. See this? Now, have you guys ever seen Umar live streaming in this area? If you guys look at this point, he has this little drape back there that has Marcus Garvey. But if you look behind that, you'll see the stars and the teal and the turquoise blue. This is his mama's closet.
Wer ist der Nächste, der sich einmischt? Wer ist der Nächste, der sich einmischt?
I had to do it. I apologize. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have did that, but I had to. Now, let me do something else. You guys just keep your eye on that for a second, okay? Keep your eye on that. Keep an eye on that. I'm going to give you some other examples of Umar live streaming inside of his mama closet because it starts in 2020. That's when it starts. He just changes the drapery, but you'll always see in that corner. You'll see this pink reddish lace curtain. You see it right there. If y'all can see it, hit the one. Y'all cracking up about that. Y'all see that little lace curtain right there? All right, watch this. Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. No, this is the wrong one. Hold on one second. Let me let this play. I'll be right back.
Wer ist der Nächste, der sich einmischt? Wer ist der Nächste, der sich einmischt?
You see that right there? See, and this video is from December 30th, 2020. Prior to this, he was living in and out of hotels and motel rooms because he got evicted in 2019. Right? But Umar, let me find. Now let me go to 20. This is from 2020. Let me go to 2021. Watch this. I'm trying to find the one with, here it is right here. We'll do this one. In fact, I think this is the first time, this would be September of 2021, where we start to see that. Note, here's another one before that, September 6th of 2021. Let me just check to see if there's one that I have before that. No, I have it September 6th of 2021. Look at this right here. Watch this. Oh, wait, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Here you go. You see that backdrop? This is mama closet. See how it's such a very small enclosed space? You see the stars, the teal, and then the purple? Okay, well that's what we see here. You see it in the background? See? Okay, you see the Marcus Garvey drapery, but behind that, you see that those black stars with the teal and the purple. Well, anytime from back in the day, from 2020, really in 2021, you start seeing him doing it a whole lot. Until like towards the beginning of this year, he would live stream in here until I started calling him out about it more and more, and then he stopped live streaming inside of his mama closet. What kind of man? Damn. I mean, he was in here doing Black parent training or whatever, Black parent teleconferences inside of mama closet, Section 8 housing. Okay, this is 2021. Let's go to 2022. We're gonna go all the way up, and then we're gonna get into the video. Let's go to 2022. I'll just pick one out of here because there's a whole bunch inside 22. When I say there's a whole bunch of them in 2022, there's a whole bunch of them. I'll just pick this one right here from February. There you go. See that beat up ass chair that he had for over 20 years?
To get out of South Africa, you leadership. Here's my question to the HBCU leadership.
Always talking shit.
HBCU presidents, why are you not using this? The attention is on HBCUs right now because of the bomb threats. Why are you not using this to castigate President Joe Biden for cutting your money? Why are you not using this to expose the racist U.S. Congress for lumping our HBCUs under the same category with minority-serving universities and colleges?
Now, every once in a while, here's 2023 now. He'll flip it. He'll change it a little bit. He'll just put a new drape.
When I see Black men go to Africa, multiculturalism, he did not want Suge Knight living in his neighborhood.
All right, this is 2023. That's the beginning, but he ultimately goes right back to his previous setup. Look. I'll pull this one right here. Oh, wait, it's not coming. Oh, it's, oh, I see why. Hold on one second. I got to take some of these off. There you go.
More. So she feels like, nobody wants to be her friend because she feels he's more popular.
Look at that big old sloppy ass. Just sloppy, living off his mama. And you see that curtain back there next to the backdrop? You see that there's that pink reddish lace.
Okay,
So
but
I took her out and started doing home internet to the best of my
what grade is your son in? Word problems, the math word problems, and the standardized test. He might know how to do the math operation correctly, but
it's like a clown show. It really is. It's like one big clown show.
He don't understand the question because his working vocabulary is not up to grade level.
Let's go to 2024.
Which means he needs to be he need to practice word problems more. I would go online and I would order a couple of math word problem books. I would probably start with 5th grade. I would get a 5th, 6th, and a 7th. And I would have him start on the 5th to try to figure out where he is with his vocabulary level.
Here's 2024.
I'm going to put together a all-black organic farming conference in America.
Here he go.
And we need to do the same thing in Africa.
Here he
we
go.
need to do the same thing in the Caribbean.
Here you
we
go.
need to do the same thing in Central and South America. We need to do the same thing in Canada.
Here
we
we
need
go.
to do the same thing in Australia.
Roll call.
We need to do the same thing in Europe. We need an organic black farming conference to figure out how we are going to save and protect organic seed for our children's children.
It's just such a bullshitter. This is 2024. Now here's 2025.
Violating the order over and over and over and over again. And when you became 10 years old, I still remember it like it was yesterday. When you became 10 years old,
no shame,
and you used to come to my home, I saw in your face how much you didn't want to be there. I saw in your face. And do you know why you didn't want to be there? You already told the people, baby Smurf. You said because he was strict. You said because he was strict. Baby Smurf, I wasn't strict. All I asked you to do was take your time and do your homework. And when I checked your homework, when your homework wasn't correct, 4th grader, and when I checked your homework and your homework wasn't correct, 4th grader, I would make you do your homework over. I would make baby Smurf correct the errors in her homework, which is what any academically inclined parent should do. You did not want to do your homework at all. You did not want to do your homework over. Your homework was sloppy.
Damn.
It was lazy. It was rushed through. And I could tell back then that your mother was not an academic parent.
Damn. Okay, so many of you guys remember this. This is just a total chaos. He berates and disrespects his daughter. Goes in on his 2 of his baby mamas. Goes in on his dad. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. But you look where he's doing this at. This is inside his mama closet. Now, let me be clear about something. In actuality, what it is, it's the laundry room, I guess you can call it that, where you would have a washer and dryer, but there is no washer and dryer there. See, Umar don't even have that shit taken care of. How you gonna be the primary caretaker and you can't even wash fucking clothes? You can't dry no clothes. That's ridiculous. You don't raise millions of dollars, but you can't get your mama a washer and dryer. And instead of doing that, he turns that into his little spot to live stream out of. I just say it's a closet, because that's what, in essence, that's what it is. He stores shit in there. He flipped the phone, had a sack of potato in there. How you gonna have a sack of potato inside a closet? Where they do that at? I ain't never seen no sack of potato inside a I'm sorry. No, but for real though, I ain't never seen that in my life. And you can't say you had it there to wash the potato and to dry the potato. You can't say that because ain't no washing and dry machine in there. He got all this filth in there, clothes stacked up and all kind of other stuff, oil, beard oil, and For all them years, family, Umar been live streaming in his mama closet and telling black people what y'all need to do and how you don't take care of your kids and white supremacy this and white supremacy that and black queens forever, snow bunnies forever. And y'all bought into the foolishness. He's supposed to be the primary caretaker, living off his mama in his mama closet. It's a damn shame. Let me show you all the last time Umar, because we've been going in on it. Then he stopped live streaming in his mama closet. This was in April. April 21st of 2025 was the last time poor Umar live streamed in mama closet.
Education or mental health regarding
tablets, phones, CDs.
You see the lace curtain in the corner?
But sometimes I figure
See, I remember when I first noticed that years ago, and I was like, he's not in his own residence because a man, real talk, heterosexual man, I guess I should say, would not be having no lace. And Umar ain't got no wife. He ain't got no woman. So that's different. The point is that a bachelor, heterosexual, ain't going to have no red, pinkish lace curtains on the windows. Somebody said. Yeah, rest in peace, Mama Closet. Y'all crazy. Rest in peace, Mama Closet. She can't even get no sleep, y'all. That ain't right. Let the mama sleep. Don't do that. And he be in there yelling and screaming and going crazy. Let the mama sleep, Umar. That's wrong. Go get your own place and yell and scream and live stream in the closet. Don't live stream in your mama closet no more. Well, he hasn't since this video anyway.
Wonder, like, are they too nice? Like,
yeah.
I feel like
he be in there hooting and hollering and werewolfing and all that. You know, he could
separated him.
That's while I was there. Miss Joy,
they have
to come up there again soon and attend.
Just got us a bookshelf.
Sister didn't want to show her face. My Nigerian African sister didn't want to show her face. Where my Nigerian African sisters at? My beautiful Igbo queens and my beautiful Yoruba queens and my beautiful Hausa queens.
Umar, he's shaped like an auntie, real old auntie.
And all my beautiful queens and that wasn't the evil vegan family. Cut it out. Y'all said that was the evil vegan.
Here he goes. That's he referred to his baby mama, the one he went off on in this video
Around
right
the
here,
world,
inside that mama closet. Dirty fingernail.
Did both.
Anyway, I just wanted to do this. I know I said we're gonna get right on into the video, but you know how we do. So just to go back, he posted this today, and not this one. He posted this one today, and we're gonna see how all of this plays out. Umar, if you had been my final words on this for Umar, and I've been telling you a long time. If you have been handling business in the beginning, instead of trying to scheme and scam, because in essence, you're scamming your mother too, because you're living off of your mother. She's in Section 8 housing. How do you raise millions of dollars from 2019 to 2024 based on the IRS filings, $1.6 million? We're not counting 2025. We're not counting 2014, 15, 16, or 17 or 18. How do you raise millions of dollars at this point? And then you're up here living off your mama and she's in Section 8 housing. I mean, that's just wrong. You're scamming your own mother in essence. And then you have her hoarded up. You won't allow other people to see her. She's your captive. But I told you a long time ago, Umar, if you would handle business and if you would treat people with dignity and respect. See, let me make one last point before we get into the video for today. Umar doesn't like women. He doesn't. He has no respect. Lenon talked about this too. She's absolutely right. He has no respect for women. He doesn't have any respect for, I'll say it this way, people don't take it the wrong way. He has, because he's a misogynist. He has no respect for females. None. He doesn't see himself as a masculine man who's there to protect women or females. That's not how he sees them as weak, and it's his job to exploit them by any means necessary. So if you think about it, look at how, and Lenon's talked about this, look at how he treated his daughter. You can't say that you love black women, that you love women, that you love females if you treat your own daughter that way. Life doesn't work that way. Look at how he talks about and he treated his baby mamas, berating them and disrespecting them and calling them out their name. You can't say that you have respect and love for black women if you treat them like that. That's your baby mamas. Look at how you treated Lene. Talking about fish tanks and her private parts and just real graphic, over the top. Who even talked like that in the first place at the age of 50 at the time? He's 51 now. He has no respect or love for women. And then people brought it up. You know, he posted my wife. He did recently, but he's done stuff like that before. But it also goes to show you how much of a coward he is. He thought that it would ruffle my feathers and that I would get down and dirty with him like that. I don't operate like that. See, Umar wouldn't do that in my presence. I know that fucking much. And so what I told myself, I said last month, I said, what I'm going to do, this is going to be punitive. This is going to be his consequence. This is going to be his karma. I'm his karma. I'm going to go for the whole month. I'm either going to do a live stream on each day or I'm going to upload something each day or a combination thereof. And I did that for the first time. And all the time I've been spending covering Umar for that whole month. I had something up here on YouTube. Apply pressure. See, it goes to show you, if you had respect for women, you wouldn't do something like that. Look at how he did the conscious stripper. The women that he's having sex with, too, by the way. I want y'all to think about that. And then look at how he has his mother living in filth, just like he was living in filth in 2019. Hoarder situation. You can't say that you have love for women if you don't even love your own mama, because if you loved your own mama, you would take care of your own mama, wouldn't have her living in those conditions. And you wouldn't be denying her what she wants, which is to be able to be part of her other children's lives. And her mother's life, rest in peace, she's passed away. So I want to be clear about something. Umar, you're not the victim. You can try to spin this and your followers, they're eat it up too, because they've been trained to do that, as if you're the victim and everyone's persecuting you. But I told you a long time ago, this is the result of your behavior. Really, it's a mentality. You just don't realize it yet. You're the common denominator in all this foolishness. There's always something with you, Umar. And I told you a long time ago what you need to do. I'm gonna say it real quick. What you need to, no, I ain't gonna do it right now. We're gonna get to the video. Let me do these super chats right quick, and then we're going to get into the word radio with Father David. That's this one right here. And in this video, Umar, he comes up with this whole fake narrative about how the city of Wilmington is persecuting him. It's always something right with this guy. Never holds himself accountable for anything. All right. Thank you all again for tuning on in. That's my opening, even though I said we're going to get right on into the video. We do have a poll. The poll question is, how much donation money has Umar Johnson wasted on FDMG bills since February 2019? We have over 1,000 votes so far. Make sure you get your vote in during this live stream. 15% said 100,000, 7% said 200,000, 7% said 300,000, and 71% said over 300,000. Well, I'll tell you right now that I'm just going to give you guys this clue. It's not 100,000. It's more than that, because just on taxes alone, it was $160,000 or $170,000 just on the property tax that Umar accrued because he didn't have tax exempt status when he purchased these trap banners in February of 2019. And then 2020, he was still on the hook, or you donors, you were still on the hook for those taxes in 2020 because he didn't get tax exempt status until 2020, but it's not retroactive. It was during that year, but it's not retroactive. So in other words, that right there, that was 170,000, something to that effect. And so it's over $100,000. So that 14%, that's not the correct answer. And so anyone else who happens to I don't know how to say this. Anyone else who's going to vote on this poll, keep that in mind, that it's not 100,000, because just in 2019 and 2020, the bills specifically for the taxes was over $100,000. Okay. All right. All right, let me get to these super chats real quick. Good Twin became a member again. Thank you so much, Good Twin, formerly a.k.a. I appreciate it. User225 says, if Umar Johnson was a superhero, what would be his powers? Umar's powers would get money out of people. You know, that he just get money out of people. I need, and they just give him some money. That would be his superpower. I don't know what y'all think. Someone says stealing. Yeah. That is stealing, mind control. Yeah, something like that. Mind control, stealing, explosive flatulence and filth, scamming, yelling loud. Magneto for money. His name would be Super Scam. What's up, Mars B? Deception. Yeah. All right. Talking shit. Yeah. All right. I need. Great work, Mr. Leador. He know. What in the world? Thanks to Tita. Yeah, deception, flapping his mouth. Trickery. Yeah, you're right about that, Michael. I'll be a kryptonite. That's right. I don't even got to do that. You just see me, Umar. Okay. All right, let me get out of here because we're going to get blown out. Someone said the power of lying and deceit, manipulate, hypnotizing. Umar's power will be sticky fingers, hypnosis, cult leader, crushing cookies. Oh, no. No. Pookie power. All right, let me get out of here because I'm going to get caught up. Let's see. What else we got in here? CJ says this whole affair is a fascinating window into how mostly Black people access and process information online. Yeah, I can't speak to these the so-called racial component this because I haven't looked. To be honest with you, I don't know if there is an equivalent to Umar in any other community. I don't know. I don't. There may be, but again, I haven't looked into that. So that's why I can't really say. What I can say though is that it does provide a window where we can look into this notion and idea of some Black people. I'll say it that way. Some Black people looking for a savior. There's something that's missing in the first place that necessitates Umar to exist in his current form, or maybe even in his past form. I should say it that way. And I've talked about this, and that is to say that there's a huge gap in the African-American community or Black community when it comes to strong Black male leadership. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist because it does. I'm just saying that if, as a whole, that there is a lot that's missing with respect to strong Black male leadership, and that should express itself in the first place within the home. So in the absence of that, or in the absence of that to a certain degree, someone like Umar comes in and he tries to fit the bill. He shapes and morphs himself. I'm going to save Black boys. I'm going to open up a school for Black boys and Black girls. It's going to be a boarding school. I'm going to raise them up and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to protect your children from the school to prison pipeline. You see, these are things that naturally a strong Black male would provide for his own family in the first place. He would make a commitment to his wife and raise the children, and they would work together to do that. But in my opinion, because there is a lack of that, not that it doesn't exist, but it's not where it should be or could be. Umar fits the bill enough as a deception to where people see him as being necessary. And that's why, in essence, in my opinion, Umar is necessary. At least in the minds of those who are looking for strong Black male leadership. But Umar is not strong. He's not a strong Black male. And he doesn't exhibit leadership skills either. See, if you can't show leadership inside your own household, how are you going to show it anywhere else? If you can't show leadership in your own commitment to your wife, how are you going to show leadership anywhere else? If you can't show commitment and leadership to your own daughter, or son for that matter, how are you going to show it any place else? So that's why I think Umar, he's a deception in essence, but he's able to deceive as a master manipulator well enough to when people believe that he is that person who's going to come to save them. But that sense of needing someone to come save them in many cases is the result of a lack of strong Black leadership. That's why Black male leadership. That's why Umar don't deal with strong Black men. He don't deal with them. All right. Thanks, CJ Judd, for being a member for 10 months. Lewis says, I don't know that Eagle's drip looks clean. He got some money. It's funny. Now he'll chastise me and you for spending money with the man, but he does. Yeah, I know he's a total hypocrite. And and thanks for bringing this up, Lewis. What Lewis is referring to is this right here. Look. See, Umar needs all this money, right? His bank accounts get frozen, and you know, he needs money for his mama, and he needs money for himself, and it just goes on. And the city's trying to sabotage him, but he will get up here with the Philly gear. And I don't know this to be true, but it looks fairly brand new. These guys see what I'm saying? I don't know. He could have had it someplace and stored it, but it doesn't look like it's been worn a lot. So another thing you guys can look out for with Umar, you rarely see him wearing the same clothes over and over again. That money came in, and it's been coming in for over a decade. He spent a lot of that money on clothes and dashikis, which aren't cheap. All right. So good point there, Louis Stuck. So he'll criticize black people and tell y'all what y'all need to be spending your money on. He ain't talking to me, because he'll try to tell y'all what y'all need to be doing with y'all's money, and he'll tell y'all that you shouldn't be supporting the white man and how the sports and all this other stuff. But he sure will wear the gear when it fits his fancy. And he ain't got no job, so where's he getting it from? Well, that's the donor's money. He a trip. Thanks, Louis. Good Twin Form the AK says, you've talked about vacant property fees for years. I sure have. Yeah, so what's happening with Umar now? This isn't something that is just out of the blue. It's not something just dealing with this year. See, Umar tries to act like all of a sudden all this is taking place. No. This goes back to 2019. The bills that were due in terms of the storm drain bill, something to that effect, that stuff started in February of 2019. Now, I remember we used to watch it. We used to track it, but that was early on. That's a whole area that I haven't really kept up with, because there's other areas of research that I've gotten into over the years. But we used to cover that. Some of you guys may have been around back then. We would go onto the website and we'll look at the bills, and every single month you'll see past due bills, and it'll just be month after month after month after month, and then they'll show the total, and that total grows and grows and grows for 6.5 years. And then Umar all of a sudden want to act like the city's trying to persecute him because he ain't paid bills for 6.5 years. There's other bills associated with that too, by the way. See? So yeah, this stuff goes way back. It goes way back, but his followers, I think some of his followers, they don't know the history. That's what I'm saying. It's important to know the timeline and know the history dealing with Umar, because you'll see very quickly how much he lies about things. If you don't know the history, then he'll say something and you'll just take it at face value. But if you know the history, he'll say something, but then you'll be like, hey, wait a minute. Those bills go back to February of 2019, February, March, April, May, June, July. And I remember we were tracking them month by month. And he never paid them. And then they kept going. He ran it up to what, $33,000 plus the vacant property, and then the storage, the water drainage bills, and then he has water bills that's something separate. That was $30,000, according to Umar. That's what he said. Ain't no telling. It could have been less than that, because he never shows receipts. But that's what he said. Well, that's all wasted money too. By the way, when I talk about how much money has Umar Johnson wasted at FDMG, an FDMG bill since February 2010, you can throw this $33,000. Umar said it was all together. It was like $70,000. You can throw that in there too. That's all wasted money, because not one black boy has been educated. See, he would have been better suited not to purchase those trap banners in February 2019 and kept collecting money and kept saving. But see, the money that he put up, that's all he had left. He had run through all the other money. But if he was a good steward of the money, he could have just kept saving. By now, he would have been around $3 million. Real talk. He would have been around $3 million. And he could have just settled on, he could have went into a lease for a building that's already ready to go. And then he just furnish it, take $200,000, $300,000 to furnish it. And then he would have plenty of money left over to pay if he wanted to have faculty staff. It doesn't have to be big, but he would have enough just to get started. But no, not Umar. But so you can throw the taxes in there. We could do an exercise here. We can throw the taxes in there in terms of money that specifically talking about bills. Taxes, you can throw in the water bill. You can throw in the vacant property fees. There's other ones too. You can even throw in when he got electricity work done. Because see, none of that is functional in the bigger scheme of things. So not one black child has been educated. It's wasted money. Paint days. You can throw in block parties. See, I don't know how much. Real quick. Quick question. What would be your best estimate for how much a block party cost to throw it? Okay, I would think it would be between $15,000 and $20,000. It could be more than that. It could be less than that. What would y'all's best estimate be? How much do y'all think it would have cost Umar to throw one of those block parties? That's when, because I thought about this today. Because when we talk about bills, even though that's not a legitimate bill, that is money that's wasted by Umar. So we can throw that in there too. My best guess is $15,000 to $20,000. Okay, because remember, he flew different people out. He had people flying in. He hired Miguel Jackson and flew him in too. Okay, I don't know what his performance fee might have been. They had a stage. Okay, that cost money. He had banners made. They had food. They had chairs and all this other stuff. They had different vendors that were there too. He had to get tables, all that stuff. Well, what would you guys think? I see a lot of 20,000. 20,000, and that's just for one. Someone said 5 figures. Yeah, 5,000. I think 5,000 really on the low end for a block party of that size. Because even just the stage and the sound system would be over $5,000. 25,000, 20,000, 10 bands, 10 to 15. I think 10 is on the low end too. 15, I think that's more close. I would say $15,000 to $20,000. Jimmy Jamboree says 40,000. DD says 20. 80,000. I think that's too much. Let's just as a as like kind of like a medium. Let's say $20,000. Well, he threw 2 of them, right? Okay, so let's double that. That's $40,000. So now we can throw $40,000 into the mix in terms of money wasted by Umar, and that's a bill. Okay, it's not like it served any purpose. Remember, Umar he took money in to do what? Open up a school. So throwing parties, that's not it. You see? So that's another, let's say as an estimate, let's say $35,000 to $40,000 for 2 block parties. It's a lot of money that's been wasted, way more than 100,000. And yeah, now we can say way more than 200,000. Okay. All right. So there is a poll. Make sure you get your vote in on the poll. 1,233 votes so far. The question is, how much donation money has Umar Johnson wasted on FDMG bills since February 2019? 15% said 100,000, 8% said 200,000, 8% said 300,000, and 70% said over 300,000. All right. Okay, and there's other things too that I could think of that's coming to mind. Like he had security. I don't know if he paid them or not. He may have paid them. He may not have paid them. So there's other stuff to consider here too. Okay. So I think 15,000 is a conservative figure for one block party. I think 20,000 is probably closer to it, and then we can double that to 40. Okay, because he threw 2 block parties. All right. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. Or no, not the other day. I was thinking about this yesterday, and that's why I wanted to ask y'all what your opinion was. Okay, thank you everyone who answered that question. Okay, let me do these. I'm gonna have to do these super chats real quick because we gotta get going here. And thanks again, Good to Inform the AK. Black Wolf gifted a membership. Thank you, Black Wolf. I appreciate it. And another one. Thank you so much. And another one. And another one. Everyone thank Black Wolf for gifting that membership. I appreciate it. Mars V says FDMG will be opening August 17th to $21.99, the birthday of Marcus Garvey. And yes, your great grandchildren will pay. This is chess, not checkers. Yeah. So let me do this real quick. I gotta say this. There will never be an accredited school opened by Umar Johnson, and he's already admitted it. That's what I'm saying. The whole idea of FDMG at this point, it's mute. It makes no sense on many different levels. It's mute. It's not even financially viable. There's millions of dollars of renovation work that still needs to go into these buildings to get them up to code. Umar said that it was $1 million to renovate both sides of the street. That's how I knew. And I know that Umar never had anyone come out there to inspect, to give him a ballpark figure in terms of how much it was going to cost to get everything up to code, because it's millions of dollars. Think about it. So if Umar in 2025, look at the logic here. If Umar in 2025 is saying that he has not yet raised $1 million in 2025, and based upon Umar's timeline, he says that he started raising money in 2014. Then what we're saying is that after raising money for over 10 years, it's really 10 and a half years. After raising money for 10 and a half years, he has not raised $1 million based upon Umar's words. Well, then how is it possible that Umar is going to come up with the money to finish renovations when there's millions of dollars more of work that needs to be done up there? Conceivably, I'm just going with it. Conceivably, it's going to take Umar another 20 years to get renovations complete. Okay. Now we're getting into 20. I'm talking about based upon how much money he's saying he makes, and based upon how much millions of dollars need to go into these trap bandos. There's also the EPA issue. You can throw that in there too. All that has to be mitigated. Okay, so we're in 2025, 2045, just to get them up to code, based upon how much money Umar is saying that what he's saying he's raised. Now, I know for a fact he's raised over $1.6 million from 2019 through 2024. I know for a fact that he had $1 million back in 2017 based upon his own words, and he said it 3 different ways. So we're going to leave out 2018 and 2025. Umar would have raised $2.67 million, $2,670,000 as a bare minimum, not counting 2018 or 2025. But he'll lie to people about that. He'll tell people in 2025 that he hasn't raised $1 million. But see, here is it go again. If we are to believe Umar with his lying ass, that means that the possibility of Umar opening up some sort of a school, whether it's accredited or not, that it's not going to happen for at least another 20 years. Now, that's not quite $21.99, but we getting there. By the way, Mars, thanks for bringing this up. I want to show people that don't know this, and I'm sure that 99.9% of y'all do know this. I want to show you something because this, in my opinion, is the most important receipt that anyone with a critical mind would need to see in order to realize the truth that Umar is nothing more than a con man. All right, let me pull up a PDF. Here it is right here. And let me skip through on this end and I'll pull it up. And here you go right here. So this is what Mars V is kind of quoting here. Okay, so there's some truth to this. Look at the date. The date is January 6, 2010. We got about 700 people, 1,758 people in the building. Thanks so much for tuning on in. Cook for Chats Undefeated. Number's been crazy. Thank you guys so much. Make sure if you're enjoying the show at any point, go on and hit that like button. Our goal is always 500. This is Umar Abdullah Johnson, his Facebook page. And look at the date, January 6, 2010. This is really what anyone, if you're a critical thinker, this is all you would need to see because time always tells the truth. 2010, this is over 15 years ago. Umar wrote the following: promises in 2010 to begin laying the groundwork for the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Pan African School for Black boys specializing in learning disabilities and disruptive behavior disorders. This will be a private school, and yes, you will pay in order for your son to attend. The grand opening, September 11, 2013. This is Chestnut Checkers. You guys understand that in 8 days, ladies and gentlemen, in 8 days from today, ladies and gentlemen, in 8 days from today, ladies and gentlemen, this school will be 12 years late. I don't know what else to tell you. Those are Umar's own words. It's still up there. I don't know what else to say. Again, if you have a critical mind, that should be all. And see, he's still collecting money to this day. It's crazy. I don't mean to laugh, but damn. That's nuts. Let me see something right quick, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Well, let me not hold y'all. Hold on. Let's get going here. I'll pull it up in just a minute. I'll pull it up a little bit later. All right, so let me get to the, and thanks again, Mars V. So that's, you see how Mars V says right there, this is Chestnut Checkers. That's the reference right there. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Well, how's it going? T. Jones says, I will celebrate my birthday this month and FDMG will still be closed. What a wonderful gift. Shout out to all the Cookie Crush chat Virgos. All right, happy birthday, T. Jones. And when your birthday gets closer, when we live stream, let us know so that way we can all wish you a happy birthday on that day or near that day. Thank you so much for being a member for 56 months. I think you might be the longest standing member. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Lewis Luck says, that list said they were having a football fish fry at the top of his social media page. He's also going to have a neckbone ninja warrior tournament. I don't know about the neckbone ninja warrior tournament, but I did see the fish fry. See, Umar, he's throwing anything up there to make it appear as if he's busy and he's the most requested scholar. But like I said, he's not in a position right now because of everything that's going on with his mama to be gone and traveling all over the place, because he's trying his best to hold on to his mama so that he can have a place to stay. He can be in control of her finances, and he can be in control of her so that his siblings and other family members can't see him, can't see his mama. So he's throwing all kind of, cousins, football, fish fry, EWF Philadelphia. I don't even know what that is. Diddy sentencing. Why are you putting that on there? Nat Turner's birthday. What does that got to do with anything? See? Yeah, his schedule, it's like real slim. All right. Thanks, Little Sec, for the super chat. Daxter sent in a super sticker. Thank you so much, Daxter. D. Sepp says, LenonHonor. What's your plan after Umar contact? Yeah, I have a contingency plan. I may implement it before Umar. The thing is, I give Umar a year to 2 years more. It can't go on, because we took a poll, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. It might have been last week. And there are people who think that it's going to go for another 7 years. I don't think so. I don't think that Umar has the capacity, even physically, to keep running this, because it's laborious, not just in terms of mental gymnastics that Umar has to run through, but also the physical aspect of this to put on this show. You know, even going up there at midnight or whatever time he goes up there, the physical component, and then putting on this show and yelling and screaming, it takes a lot out of a person, especially at his age. He's 51 years old now. So I've already done the calculations, and in my own mind, I recognize that I would think that this will go for another year and a half. And then I have a contingency plan. There's content that I've been wanting to put out, and I've talked about it for a very long time. The thing is that if it goes longer than a year, I'm going to implement the other content while I'm still covering Umar, and then it'll be a transition period at a certain point. That's the plan. Okay. All right, and thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Let's see. The Hope Fiend next door says, were you once an Umar supporter? Also, where does Poetic Flacco fall into this content pipeline? No, I was never an Umar Johnson supporter. I wasn't always a critic either. Back in 2014, I've told the story many times. There's someone on Facebook who contacted me because Umar did that video at St. Paul's where he's walking around, he's trying to tell people to donate because he wants to buy St. Paul's. A lot of people think that St. Paul's is where it started. There's also a lot of people that don't know about the St. Paul's school scam. It goes before, this starts way before St. Paul's. That's 2014. I'll show you the receipt from 2010 where Umar said that the school was going to open in 2013. Umar conceptualized FDMG in 2004. I can play the video where he talks about that. So this goes back over 20 years. So back then, I didn't research Umar, but someone had sent me that video, and I told him, no, something's not right with this. I think it's a scam. And I gave my reasonings for it. And I said, you can donate if you want to, but he doesn't have a team. I gave reasoning for it, but I wasn't a critic of Umar, an outward critic at all. That didn't come until much later. So no, I've never been a supporter. And then Poetic Flacco, he's someone who, he was an Umar critic for a while, but then he became an Umar Johnson defender. And at a certain point, he transitioned away from the Umar content, and he's doing more. It's more like he's doing more like, I guess, hip hop type of stuff, and he does quite well too with it. It's good to see him doing well, doing much better. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Daxter says, pathetic. Yeah, I said that earlier. Okay, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. User Device says, Cook chat, who's most dusty, the school interior or Umar? Okay, I'm not going to answer that. How's it going, User Device? Thank you for the super chat. Lewis X says, Umar defenders giving super chats. Oh, yeah, that's okay. That's okay. No, I don't mind that. I don't mind. See, the thing is, if you're a defender of Umar, I'm not going to berate you, and I'm not going to disrespect you, and I'm not going to treat you poorly because Umar does that to you already. If you have a legitimate question, you can ask the question. I can either choose to answer it, or I can choose not to answer it. Okay? That's my prerogative. But either way, thank you for the super chat. That's what I'm saying. It's business. You know, the way I look at it, you know, if one of you Umar Johnson supporters, you want to send me a super chat or a cash app, and talk your shit, you're welcome to. I ain't gonna take it personal. Thanks, Lil Sec, for the super chat. Brother Ron look like Boyce Walkers. He does. He does kind of look like he could be related to Boyce Walkers. You ain't. That's true. You're right about that. Thanks, Lil Sec. Dagger says it in Jermaine's voice. Stop, Lenor. Yeah. Jermaine Shoemake, according to Tasha K. Thank you. Thanks, Dagger. Okay, Staff Music says Umar's got the TVs they rode in on a cart for movie day at school in the 90s. Yeah, I remember them days. Yeah, they had them in they had them in the 80s too. Yeah, they rode them in, and at a certain point they had VCRs. Y'all remember that? Then big back TVs. See, Umar's a hoarder, so he holds on to stuff that has no purpose. And Lene also talked about how Umar, when he purchases things, he'll purchase more than what he really needs. He'll purchase stuff just to purchase it. But see, that's tied to being a hoarder, and poverty consciousness. I'm still dealing with that too myself, trying to work my way through that. So that's one of the reasons I'm so appreciative with the well, what has happened is because between my job and YouTube, I make really, really good money. Okay. And I'm not here to brag. In fact, it makes me antsy sometimes because I tell myself, am I deserving of that? But see, that's that poverty consciousness. And then I keep telling myself, you know what? This can't be real. This can't be real. Yeah, but I've worked my ass off to get to this point. And I've been on the other end of the spectrum too. You guys see what I'm saying? So the support has really helped me. At least I'm struggling. I can't say that I'm struggling with it. I'm still working through these issues that are associated with poverty consciousness, growing up poor, and then having this mentality of it's not just lack, but not feeling as if you're deserving of more. Okay, so Umar, he has that to the extreme. He hasn't worked through that issue. So when money comes in, what he does, and what tends to happen is people, they go to either extreme. Either they'll buy stuff because they feel like they're not going to have money and never really had money, so they just buy it frivolously. That's what Umar does, and he hoards stuff. Or in my case, what I tend to do is I'm very frugal, right? I just know I'm not going to get that. I'm not going to do. I could, but I don't. Recently, my wife persuaded me to get some new clothes. I've been holding on to some of them clothes 5, 6, 7, 8 years. See, no excuse for it, really, but it's the mentality that's associated with that. So people can go on different extremes. In Umar's case, he hoards. So he'll buy stuff that he doesn't need, and then whatever he brings in, he just holds on to it indefinitely. You guys remember the video, the chair video, where he gets up out of the chair? He explains how he had that chair for over a decade. I can't remember how long it was. It was over a decade. Let me show you guys. I know that we're getting a bit off a topic here, but I think that this is an important point to really understand Umar and his mentality and why it is that he's hoarded things like that big back TV that he had in 2019, and then he shows it in 2025 inside the large gym. Let me show you guys what I mean by that chair, because I think that is probably one of the preeminent examples of. Here it is, right here. And this is when I first realized that Umar was living with his mama. We all did. It was all in real time. So check this out.
For Frederick, I dare say that the most honorable Marcus Messiah God.
All right, let me skip through. Okay, here it is right here. So Umar, he's talking, the doorbell rings. He gets up out of the chair and he goes to answer the door. And there's a conversation that takes place between a social worker, a case worker for his mama. So that's what I'm saying. Umar, even though he's saying stuff like all of us, he's trying to act like all of a sudden, there's people who's trying to get in contact with his mama. Blah, blah. No, this has been going on for years. Okay, because this I can't remember. I think this was from I want to say this is from 2022. I could find out for sure, but I think it was 2022. It could have been 2023, but we watched this live and we were trying to figure out exactly what was going on. And so Umar gets up out of the chair. You see how the chair looks? Okay, why would he be holding on to a chair this long? He still has his chair in 2025. But let me show you what happens, because Umar, matter of fact, if you guys, let me show you guys when he steps out, the doorbell rings. Listen carefully, you'll hear it.
Excuse moi.
See, it's a sliding door. It's like a sliding barn door type of a thing. It's not a regular door. And you see the backdrop. We talked about this at the beginning of this live stream. Okay, so he ends up having this conversation. I'm going to skip through that part, but I want you guys to listen to what Umar says when he comes back. Watch this. Here you go.
Brothers and sisters, the work never ends. I'm not getting rid of my chair. I love this chair. This chair has been with me for almost 20 years. I've been sitting in this chair before y'all knew me. I was sitting in this chair when I became a school psychologist. I was sitting in this chair when I got my doctorate.
Okay, he got his doctorate in 2012. Okay, so we can say at least this chair is 13 years old. But he also said he was sitting in this chair when he became a psychologist, right? I think he said a school psychologist. Well, let me go look at my timeline. Umar became a school psychologist, and he started his internship to become a school psychologist in 2000. And then he starts working in the Philadelphia School District in 2001 at the age of 27. Umar's 51 years old now. He still has his chair. From 2001 to 2025, this chair is 24 years old. That's the hoarder thing. He's raised millions of dollars. Why not get a new chair? And I get it because I'm frugal myself, but I'm not going to be sitting in no chair, telling black people what they need. I wouldn't be trying to tell black people what they need to be doing anyway. But I'm not going to be trying to get up here and act like I'm some sort of great black leader and I'm going to be in this funkified, beat up booty ass chair. Look at this shit. This is a shame. Look at that. I wouldn't even sit in that. I mean, a bum wouldn't even sit in that. They'd look at it and be like, I ain't sitting in that dirty ass shit. Look at that.
Brothers and sisters, the work never ends. I'm not getting rid of my chair. I love this chair. This chair has been with me for almost 20 years. I've been sitting in this chair before y'all knew me. I was sitting in this chair when I became a school psychologist. I was sitting in this chair when I got my doctorate. I was sitting in this chair when I took over the conscious community. I was sitting in this chair when I became King Kong consciousness. I'm not giving up this chair until the chair gives up on me. Man. I'm not giving up on this chair until this chair gives up on me. I'm not giving up this chair until this chair gives up on me.
That's the mentals. That's the mentals. All right. So staff, thanks for the super chat. This is what I mean. That big back TV, there's no reason to still be holding on to that. He still has it. It's sitting inside the large gym in 2025. CG says the Diddy sentencing on his schedule is insane. Is insane. I know. I don't listen. That one right there, I'm confused on that one. Okay, because even if you're trying to make it seem as if you're the most requested scholar and that you're busy and you got to put stuff on your calendar to make it look like you all that, why would you put the Diddy sentencing on there? I don't know. That's the mentals. If anyone has a clue on that one in the chat room, please let me know. I couldn't figure that one. I just let it go. I said, okay, that's Umar. All right. Same thing with this chair thing. That's just Umar. All right. Thanks, CG. Larry says, Mr. Honor, thanks for exposing Umar's sad and pathetic situation. Damn. It is sad and it is pathetic. Also, the fact that it has played itself out over the internet and it's actually being watched. It's been viewed and people are viewing it from all around the world. And I do mean that. There's someone from Africa who reached out to me recently. They're from Ghana. And they were talking about how, and I'm paraphrasing, how it's a shame that Umar was even able to get Ghanaian citizenship because they felt like Umar is just exploitive in the first place, that he just wants to exploit people over there in Ghana. Yeah, of course, that's what Umar does. There's people who are watching this from all around the world. In the UK, a lot of people don't realize that Umar, he used to have a large following in the UK. He would spend quite a bit of time up over there, not as much more recently, but he used to spend quite a bit of time up over there. So there's a lot of people in the UK that have been following this Umar Johnson saga. The most people that watch my Umar Johnson videos, they're on the East Coast, and they're Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I should say Pennsylvania in the first place, and then New York City in the second. It's a shame and it's sad because so many people are watching this play itself out, and it's just gotten worse for Umar. That's the thing I just don't get. If something's not working for you and your life deteriorates, at some point a light bulb should go on in your mind to say, wait a minute, I need to do something different. Can we say that Umar's doing anything different? No, he's been at this for over 2 decades now, going all the way back to the UNIA days. We're trying to scam them for a building fund. He's been at this for such a long time. But that's the part I don't get, because you would think that a person would sit back and say, hey, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, people are sending me money, but my life isn't getting any better. Same thing with Jay Morrison. Look at Polite. Look at a Nature Boy. I don't understand why they couldn't figure that out and then just change course and do something different, do something righteous, do something that actually benefits you, because this doesn't benefit Umar long term. I mean, this guy, it's sad. It's sad. And it's not just black people who are watching this madness. There's other groups of people who are watching it too. And they formulate their opinions about black people based upon this so-called black leader. That's a problem too. Thanks, Larry. CJ says, who wants him around their kids? Phone calls to CPS immediately. Yeah, that's another thing. I've talked about this a lot. And this is one of my biggest criticisms of Umar. And also Umar Johnson, fathers need to think about this too. That if you listen to how Umar talks about children and how he sexualizes children, that should be more than enough for you guys to put up some red flags and to question your commitment to Umar. Furthermore, if you're thinking that you're going to put your child in his care, that's extremely problematic. Even if you're thinking that, or if you're enabling him to potentially someday have children in his care, that's a problem too. And let me say something else, CJ. That same person who had emailed me back in 2014, the video of Umar talking at St. Paul's College, and they said, what do you think about this? And I told them, I thought that it was shady because he didn't have a team. It's just him. He doesn't have a plan. I felt like it was a con. It was a scam. And yeah, and it turned out to be. But I remember because they're probably still a supporter of Umar. And I don't want to say too much, but they're a nice person. I remember I told them, well, whatever you decide, if you want to support it, that's your business. I can't tell you not to. I don't know much about Umar, but just based upon the optics and what he says in the video, something's not right. I think it's a scam. But I said, I'm going to tell you one thing though: never ever leave your child in his care. See, I knew even back then something wasn't right with Umar. And time has told the truth on that too. See, if Umar doesn't have any care for his own daughter with everything that she's been going through, and in fact, he's exasperated the situation. He's made the situation worse. He told his followers to go into and go into her DMs and go at her, and they did, and it had a serious impact, negative impact, adverse impact, a deleterious impact on her mental health. You guys know that? That's why I don't really like talking on the daughter. I try not to. But that just goes to show you that Umar, he doesn't even care for his own seed. Why would anyone think that somehow he's going to care about theirs? It makes no sense. I mean, I can go on and on. This is one of my big criticisms about Umar. I know for a fact that he should never be around children, period. He's emotionally unstable. He tends to make these sexualized comments. One time he was talking about the little girl's private parts, and he said that her private parts, they were rotten cookies. That's what he said. You guys remember that? Who talks like that? I mean, I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm not, and then I have a lot of people haven't heard that Big Papa podcast where Umar says he wants to cuddle with the boys by the fireside. Most people, I would say 95% of, I would say 99% of Umar Johnson followers never heard that. I mean, that's very troubling. I'm gonna leave it right there because it's starting to piss me off. Thank you, CJ, for the super chat. Par B says FDMG is primary residence, which is the reason for outside at 1 a.m. live stream removal as caregiver. He will have nowhere else to go but FDMG. Absolutely right about that. See, remember I was talking about Umar gets evicted in towards the end of 2019. Umar's plan was to try to renovate enough to where he can live inside of the abandoned buildings. Now, not live inside of the large school, not live inside of the small school, Cook Shack. Where was it? We can go back and pull it up, but we still got to get to the video. We got to get to that video today. Because Umar, at some point, he's going to go live for an extended period of time running his mouth, and we got to be ready for it. Okay, right now, he's too scared to do it. He can do it tomorrow. He might do it tonight while I'm live streaming. If you guys go back in time, Umar was trying to renovate the small gym. He wasn't even focused on the small school. At a certain point, he said, "No, I'm just gonna set up my temporary office." First, he said it was going to be inside the large the small school, but then he said it was going to be in the small gym. And he goes through all of this effort. Yeah, I remember this to try to make it more comfortable in there. He even put some carpet in there. He put in one of them wall-mounted air-conditioned units because he thought that somehow that was going to be enough, so that when winter hits, he would be able to live in there. But see, Umar, he doesn't have foresight. Everything is in the moment. He doesn't think ahead, and he doesn't have, I don't know, it's just something up here where he wouldn't be able to understand that if you have that amount of space inside of a gym, and it's not just like it's one floor, it's actually it's high. The ceiling is really high, and you have it gets really cold in the wintertime. I mean, in Wilmington, Delaware gets cold, New York gets cold, snow, compacted, so forth and so on. That building is going to, and no HVAC, there's no heating. That building is going to turn into a freezer. You guys know what I'm talking about? It turns into a freezer. So Umar thought that he can put this little rinky-dink, the kind you can get from Home Depot wall unit, and put it inside the wall and turn it on to get heat coming through. And somehow that was going to be enough to heat so that he won't freeze to death. See, he don't even think right. So he spent many months focusing on that small gym. It wasn't because he was going to open up classes in that gym. he was focused. He was trying to get it ready because he knew that winter was coming and he needed a place to stay. So to put all this in perspective, 2019, Umar gets evicted towards the end of 2019 from the last residence that he's had. He's been homeless ever since. 6.5 years of homelessness. Six years of homelessness at this point. So what happens? Well, what you'll see and what the video evidence shows is Umar starts to live in and out of hotels and motels. And you see him live streaming over and over. You don't see him in his mama closet quite yet. You see him live streaming because he's not on the rental agreement. He's not supposed to be living there. So you'll see he's in hotels and motels. And I remember I kept asking myself, okay, why isn't he live streaming inside his spot where he had the little African artifacts and the pictures and all this, the books and all this stuff where he flipped the phone? I was like, why didn't he? Then later on, we find out and we realize, okay, he was evicted. And then you see him living in and out of hotel and motel rooms off of you donors' money. I have all the evidence of this. See, when I pull up a folder for 2020, for all the Umar Johnson videos from 2020, you'll see he's not inside of his previous residence. You see him in hotel rooms. You see him inside his rental car. You'll see him live streaming at FDMG. You see what I'm saying? So then by the time we get into 2021, Umar, he's figured it out. Okay. He can't keep living in and out of hotel, motel rooms because it's expensive. The money's, he's living day to day with cash apps at that time. So what does he do? He fixates on that gym. And he tries to set it up to where he can live in there. But because it gets so cold, Umar, he wasn't able to make that work. And then ultimately he moves into his mama. He started living inside his mama. He started live streaming. And where? In his mama closet. See how it all connects? That's the timeline. Even still, Part B, let's go one more step here. How is it possible that after 6.5 years, Umar has not even set up a personal office in any of these buildings? The office could be as big as this little small room. We gave the other kids, they got bigger stuff. Their daughters got the master bedroom. I was thinking about we need to get upgrade. No, I said we're gonna wait. I'm frugal. We're gonna wait. Hold on a second. My wife, well, no. I said no, we ain't been here that long anyway. Just hold on. but the point is, he could have at least set something up like this, right? In 6.5, is it 6 years? Damn, it's about to be 7. Is that right? Yeah, in February, it's not too far away. Damn. It's about to be 7 years. This guy hasn't even set up an office. And of course, if he's removed as the primary caretaker, we're going to see Umar live streaming out of hotel motel rooms, and we're going to see him live streaming out of these abandoned buildings like he used to do in his rental car. Watch. Thanks, Parby. Lewis Suck says those potatoes are from the FDMG garden. No, they're not. No, they're not. They would be glowing and shit from the radiation. No, I'm just playing. We got over 2,000 people in the building. Thank you guys so much for tuning on. If at any point you enjoyed this live stream, I just want to encourage you all to hit that like button. It only take about 2 seconds of your time, but it helps with the algorithm. The likes have really made a huge difference here on my YouTube page. In fact, my subscriber count is all the way up to 87,000, over 87,300 subscribers. So it's possible that we may get to 100,000 by the end of the year. Okay, so we'll see how things go. I just want to thank everyone for that. And we have 643 likes so far, so we already reached our goal. The poll question, we already have 1,561 votes, says how much donation money has Umar Johnson wasted on FDMG bills since February of 2019? 14% said 100,000, 9% said 200,000, 8% said 300,000, and 70% overwhelmingly said over 300,000. I can tell you right now that it's not 100, it's not 200,000, it's more than that. I'll leave it at that. Make sure you get your vote in, all right? Yeah, someone said, yeah, the subscribers have gone up real crazy more recently, though. Yeah, it's just skyrocketed. So we'll see if we can get that. And if we get to either way, whether it's this year or next year, or if we get to it at all, we may never get to it. But if we ever get to it, we'll throw a party and we'll have a good time. Like it'll probably be like I'll have cake and stuff. You know how we used to do. We'll have a good time. Might even sing some songs for y'all. You know. Shout out to East B. Okay, so. Money Mike says should do a montage of all of Umar's harebrained ideas. The thing, Money, is that Money Mike, that would take, I can't even tell you how much time that would take. I mean, that would take so much time. I mean, literally, it would take months. It would take months. See, I have in my notes from 2000, the earliest video I have of Umar is 2005, and then I got through 2018. So I got about 13 years of notes, and I do outline Umar's ridiculous ideas, because there's going to be a sequence in the documentary where I just share like different things, his ideas, because the idea of his ideas is this, that every time Umar says he's going to do something as an idea, it's actually a lie, because it never comes into fruition. So in a documentary, it's going to be like, well, how many times has he done that? And literally it's hundreds, and it's probably over 1,000. Okay, so there's no way that I'll be able to put all that in there, but I'll do just enough, and I'll make sure that it's archived in sequence as a timeline. He's going to have a gun club. He said that in 2019. He's going to teach the boys how to float ships. He says he's going to have a NASA building. He says that there's going to be FDMG Zoo. He said that back in 2014. So I'll bring it all the way up. I mean, he's made up, and so each year I'll have maybe 4 or 5 of these promises each year. I would probably start from 2010, because he also said there was going to be FDMG in 2010. He said there was going to be FDMG after school program, FDMG Boy Scouts. He called it Umar Johnson something blah 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 Boy Scout program, whatever. But these are all ideas and promises that he didn't keep. When I first started covering Umar consistently, the concept that I had was that a promise that goes unfulfilled is nothing more than a lie, and it's true. So all the promises and ideas, because all the ideas are promises he says he's going to do for Black people, inevitably they all prove to be what? Nothing more than lies. So the thing is that what I'm getting at, Money Mike, is even with the notes that I have right now, I would also have to go through videos from 2019 through 2025 to add even more, and that would be forever. Yeah, I wouldn't have time. But in the documentary, I do plan on having a montage of Umar's harebrained ideas. It'll be in sequence, in a timeline, but it won't be all of them, because otherwise, again, in terms of runtime, I'm not talking about editing and finding all of that. I'm just talking about just on runtime. We're talking about maybe that would probably be about a 6-hour video, maybe a 5-hour video. Yeah, but then all the editing on that and finding all of the clips and all that stuff, that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of hours. Thanks, Money Mike, for the super chat. But it speaks to the truth that Umar, he's a charlatan. He's made so many promises. The shockumentary that was supposed to premiere in 2014. He was collecting money for that still collecting money for that in 2022. How do you collect money for a shockumentary for, let's see, 2000, it's supposed to premiere in 2012. He was talking about it in 2011, and he's still collecting money in 2022. We're talking 11 years. That's crazy. Well, that's another harebrained idea that never came into fruition. And he collected money for it. All right. Thanks, Money Mike. Par B gifted 5 membership. Thank you so much, Par B. Everyone thank Par B for being so kind and generous. I appreciate it. I'm sure that the people who received those memberships are appreciative too. And make sure if you did receive it, make sure you thank Par B. Okay. Always thank folk for the blessings. Thank the Lord too. All right. Thanks, Par B. I appreciate it. Jay Civic says, what is sick is that he uses racism as a tool to shift the blame when he's the one doing dirt. Yeah, that's exactly what he did with this whole situation dealing with the city of Wilmington. Remember, he said it was racism, but from how he explains it, the people that he's talking to, they black people. So what you talking about? And then you listen, when he brings up the sheriff, he's like, well, you know, the sheriff, they're just doing their job. Here we go. Just like that one time when the police they was going through Umar's stuff, and he was so humble, shucking and jiving and shit. Yeah, boss, I sure enough did. Mm-hmm. He said, hey, boss, you want me to get that for you? I'm gonna clean that up for you. That's what he said. So this time around, he don't say nothing about the sheriff because he ain't got no smoke for that. But he goes in on these black people, and then he was talking racism, right? Okay, make it make sense. That's Umar, though. Thanks, Jay Civic. Draft Day says, weekend at Bernie's subsidized living. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, I hear you on that. Thanks, Draft Day. CJ says, the weekend at Bernie. That's crazy. CJ says, the Cookie Crush chat, a diverse, witty, and honest group is everything the Black conscious space wishes it could be. I will say that the Cookie Crush chat, it is special. You know, it really is. I haven't seen any chat room like it. And I'm not saying that other chat rooms aren't great or anything like that, but I haven't seen anything like this. I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube though anyway, but it has grown and it has morphed. And there are people who have been here from the beginning. There's people who they'll disappear for a while and they'll come back, you know, and then there's people that they're here for a while and then we don't see them, but then all of a sudden they pop up out the blue, and that's always a great thing. So many memories too. You know, we have a lot of memories together. And there's also been, what came to mind is I can't remember. Carolyn Dukes. That's a Cook Crush chat member, as it were. That actually I can't remember if Carolyn Dukes was on. I think it was on one of Umar Johnson's Instagram lives, and Carolyn Dukes had asked a question or something like that, and Umar got so mad. He called her Carolyn Dookie. So it's those types of stories, all that funnels back, you know, and then we have these conversations about these things inside the chat room, and it's absolutely hilarious. I try to stay out the chat room as much as possible, though, because I get caught up. Thanks, CJ, for the super chat. A Secure the Bag Production says, the irony, a large % of women donated to Umar's cause, yet he disrespects them. How do you even mismanage a bare minimum $1 million in donations? Yeah, it's incredible to me. Again, the bare minimum is 1.6 from 2019 through 2024 based upon IRS filing. So we can say that conclusively. This is something that's boggled my mind over the years. One thing I will say is that in some cases, Black women are too forgiving and are too, what's the word? Too nurturing. The nurturing is misplaced. It's like coddling. And I think that there are Black women who see Umar like a son that's just very, very lost, but presents themselves as if they're very, very found, if that makes sense. And they're the most requested and all blah, 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 right? School psychologist, he's not. You know, family therapist, he's not. The list goes on and on. You guys catch my drift, that he presents himself in that way. So there's an appeal there. Then he's talking all this talk about how he's going to save Black boys, and maybe they're a single mother and they have a Black boy. They have these concerns. So he's playing on their fears. But then in my, the way I look at it is that in their mind, subconsciously, they see him as a little boy who needs to be saved himself, which is true. But I've been telling more recently to black women, that's not your job. Your job is not to save black men. That's some bullshit. Your job is not to protect black men. That's some bullshit times two. Your job is not to defend black men. That's some triple bullshit. See, that's the job that men are supposed to have traditionally inside of a community. That's your job. You're supposed to protect the women. You protect the kids. You keep them safe, right? You don't tolerate any disrespect. Don't nobody disrespect your woman. Don't nobody disrespect your kids. Real talk. Is Umar doing any of that? No, he consistently disrespects women, and he's just not only has he disrespected women, he disrespects his baby mama, he disrespects his own daughter. See, there's a lot of lessons in all of this. There's a lot of lessons. It actually goes back to something I brought up at the beginning, towards the beginning of this live stream, and that is that there is somewhat of a vacuum, an absence of strong black male leadership. And there are a lot of women, black women, who have to deal with that. It's unfortunate. That's just the reality. But I'm not saying that all, because there's plenty of us that's handling business. But there are a lot. They're looking for that, and they're looking for it in the wrong person. They're looking for it in Umar. But Umar, he ain't nothing but a little boy living off his mama at the age of 51 fucking years old. That's crazy. He don't got a pot to piss in. He don't even have his own car. What are we talking about? Living inside of mama closet, been homeless. How can you defend a homeless man, a homeless bum, who's 51 fucking years old? Someone please make that make sense to me. I'm telling you guys, that's all up here. That's all up here. So in my opinion, on a subconscious level, some of these black women, they see Umar like a little boy that's lost, but then they also see him as a savior. That's a total contradiction. And so that's why they continue to send him money, continue to support him, defend him, try to protect him. Where I come from, that's not how shit's done. See, that's the man's job, is to protect, to provide and protect. Umar ain't doing none of that shit. And yeah, when I talk about providing, that also means that when y'all send him money for a school that does not exist, you're providing for this. Boy, I'll tell you, let me get up off this. About to drop an N-bomb. I'm so sick of that. Because bottom line, black women, you can do better than that. You deserve way better than that. You don't see that shit in any other community. You don't see it. I ain't seen it. Look at me start cleaning up and shit. That's how you know I'm I got my little cloth. I'll start cleaning up this water right here. All right. Thank you, Secure the Bag Productions. Yeah, that's a good point too. Tippity Tappity says, pow, lightning, I love you, boo. That was that video where Umar, he was really trying to get at these, and he called it the for sisters only. It wasn't nothing but a coochie drive. That's what it was. I mean, he was really trying to run game on these women. A lot of them was younger women. And he was talking about when you get into that cooch and there's a pow, that lightning hit you, and I love you, boo. Umar crazy. He's so crazy. I wish we had time to pull it up, tippy tappity, but we got to get into this. We are the hour. Damn, we almost 2 hours in. What happened? Well, I told a lie yesterday. I apologize. I said we're gonna get right into the video, but we got blown off. Anyway, thank you, tippity tappity. One of these days I'm gonna pull that one up. That was crazy. Umar got probed by that. Is don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Oh no, I was gonna say something, but I ain't gonna say that. Shout out to Lene. All right, Barbie says, stay on his neck, Lenon. Missing the live streams lately, 2 hours ahead of your time zone, and need my elder rest. Oh, I understand. I love your shows. Thank you so much. Yeah, I totally understand. Get your rest in the first place. These are archived, so you can always get back in here inside the archive. But whenever you can come and join us live, you're welcome. Okay, you're always welcome. Thanks, Barbie, for the super chat. Trust me, I understand. Well, I understand. You got to get to bed early. All right. Missy says the audacity of Umar getting city permits to host block parties when he hasn't paid taxes he owes to the city. Yeah, and that's true. And thank you for bringing this up. In the timeline, Umar does the block parties while the taxes are still due. That just goes to show you where his priority. This is a really good point. Really good point. This shows you two things. One, where his priorities are, because the block parties, that's more of the optics to make it look like he's doing something, but it's really just a party for old black people. Real talk. right? But it also shows that Umar, he's not handling business. You don't throw parties and spend money on parties when you have tax bills that need to be paid. And the tax bills, not only are there tax bills that are way past due, but there's also interest and fees associated with it. It's accumulating every single year. So again, going back to what I've been saying, why would anyone think that Umar is of the right mind to be able to manage a whole school if it's a functional school where there's faculty and staff? These faculty and staff, they're not going to get paid. They're not going to get paid on time. There ain't going to be no money. You see how ridiculous this is? Sometimes there's going to be food. These kids ain't even going to have no food to eat. So, I forgot to pay that bill for that. Okay. Yeah, but you sure was throwing block parties. That's a good point right there. And in the timeline, it fits because he had those taxes due while he's trying to throw block parties. That's crazy. Thank you, Missy, for super chat. Because he didn't get those taxes paid until last year. It wasn't too long after that white guy came up there. I ain't gonna say too much. You guys remember that? We're gonna leave it right there. Thanks, Missy. Jam 7 Jack said, business never personal. Yeah. That's the thing. I look at all this as business. Of course, we have the camaraderie in the chat room, but when it comes, to I just don't take it personally. I've gone through all that. I've gone through that for a very long time, so I don't take it personally. The way I look at it is because I've been through all kinds of stuff, online and offline too. I had one person that contacted my previous landlord, and they were trying to get my family evicted. And I have a video where they were saying that they're going to do that, but my previous landlord was a close friend of mine. So they actually recorded the call and sent it to me, and then I had to explain to my friend what that was and who that person was. I knew who the person was. The point is, I've been through a lot of that stuff. The thing is, at this point, I don't take it personally. I look at it as the part of the price of business. See what I'm saying? It just comes with the territory. And I just do like that, and I keep it moving. I keep my focus on my content, and I keep my focus on my community here inside the Cookie Crush chat. So if you focus on all this other stuff, you're not going to be able to produce quality content. This is some quality shit. I know it, and I've been at this for a very long time. I've built up this skill. How many people do you know can run a show for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours and keep an audience of 2,000 people and everyone having a good time? But it didn't happen overnight. I've been at this a very long time. So all this other stuff, see, I know what you should focus on. And there are people, they're focusing on the wrong thing, but that's why their YouTube page is shit. It's trash. I don't mean to say it that way, but this is true. I know this. I know this. I've known this for quite some time now. So don't get caught up on the stuff that ain't nothing but a bunch of this, and focus on your content and up your game. You see, and it's not personal, it's business. And when you do that and you focus, you produce quality product for the people who tune in. You produce shit, people ain't gonna be tuning in. You're gonna get some people that's gonna be tuning in. See, there's some lessons for people. I mean, I can actually teach a course on because you got to stay focused. There's Umar. We must stay focused, right? Don't get sidetracked on all this foolishness. Anyway, handle business, never personal. Thank you, Jack 5. Christina says, Oliasi, okay, the Jose call before you go. That is the Jose call before you go. That is my Daniel's clip. Okay. You're talking about the brother Jose when he calls Umar. Okay, I'll pull that up before we end this live stream. Matter of fact, we'll use it as the outro for the show, brother Jose. I have a song for brother Jose too, but we'll get into that another point. Okay, thank you, Christina, for the super chat. I appreciate it. See, Manny Ben Rock says, how long before the molds seep through the paint? I think it's already done that. I think that the mold was there prior to, as an example. Oh, I see what you're saying. Because Umar, he painted over the mold on one side of the street. He's actually, no, you're right about that. He did. He paint, but the thing is that he's painted over mold on the inside too. So it's only a matter of time. And the thing is that if it doesn't come through the paint, it's still going to reappear anyway on the exterior of the paint. because there's issues that haven't been resolved. And we looked at a little bit of that yesterday. I wanted to get to that video today, but we'll have to maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm live stream tomorrow, but maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, that's something that we can look out for into the future. Either the mold is going to come through the paint, because Umar didn't do any prep work, anything, or mold is going to grow on top of the paint. Either way, there's still mold remediation that needs to take place. And the issues that caused the mold to grow in the first place, those issues haven't been resolved. In fact, the brother that went up there to take video, he actually outlined this a little bit. When we watched the video, I'll try to remember to kind of draw this back, Manny, to what you're saying right here. Manny Ben Rock, MBR. Thank you for the super chat. Bob Guns sent in a super sticker. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jam7 says, chairs smell like old buses. Ain't no telling how that chair smells. It's just crazy. There's no way. There's no way. Functified for sure. Thank you for the super chat. Kadar says he could have volunteered at the boys club next door. That's a good point. Yeah, he could have. He could have done things with that organization. He could have funded projects to help that organization. He has a nonprofit. It's not like it's coming out of his pocket. Kadar, why hasn't Umar done a book bag drive in 6.5 years for the kids in that neighborhood? Why not do a book bag drive for the kids? And what he could have done is he could have just told people, hey, listen, I need you to donate for this book bag drive, because we're gonna get book bags for the children at the Boys and Girls Club. Wow. See, he wouldn't even necessarily have to come out of the pocket for his nonprofit dealing with FDMG. He could have called upon his audience to do that. But see, Umar wants all the money for himself, not to open up a school, not to help out the kids up over there, but that's his own personal money. In essence, again, he ain't worked since 2010, 2011. He ain't worked consistently. So yeah, he could have worked with the Boys and Girls Club. He could have helped fund some of their projects over there. Why not a turkey drive for Thanksgiving, or a Christmas gift drive for Christmas? You know, take $15,000, take $20,000, and make sure that the kids in that neighborhood have gifts for Christmas, or have food for Thanksgiving. We ain't seen none of that, have we? Well, that's because at the end of the day, Umar, first of all, Umar's not interested in working with anyone who's legit, including the Boys and Girls Club. But second of all, his priority is not to help black people in particular. He ain't trying to help no black kids. He's trying to get them into them women's underwear, though. He'll help them just enough to where he can get up in them skins. So real quick, Kadar, in 6.5 years, do y'all think that Umar could have found some time to volunteer up there at the Boys and Girls Club? I'm gonna tell you something. They probably don't want nothing to do with his ass. I'm sure they don't. Well, what does that tell you about Umar? Okay. Good point right there. I never thought about that. The Boys and Girls Club, literally right next door. Thanks, Kadar. Miranda says, hey, Cook or Chat, Lenon, this is something special that you have going on here with the Cook or Chat. Yeah, I have to stay out of the chat room, though. I'm telling you, I can't. I get caught up in there. We already got blown off now for about 2 hours, but it's all good. We had a good time. Cook or Chat is undefeated. I'm screaming about that chair. That chair done been through some things. yeah. Moses sat in that chair for a couple of weeks. Y'all know that? Moses sat in that chair, you know. They rolled it up the mountain. He was sick because it had wheels on it. His son had to push him up the mountain. They get up to the mountain to get the thing. All right. It's nuts, though. It's really nuts. Umar, how do you raise millions of dollars and you sit in a funky chair that you've had for roughly 25 years? That can't nobody make that make no sense to me. Okay, that's nuts. Thanks for ranting. Thank you for the kind words too. I appreciate it. Deuces says every Jermaine I knew went to jail. Don't do that. Don't do that. So every Jermaine I knew went to jail. He has more loyalty to a chair than his own children. Damn. Hey, Lenon, yeah, I'm in New York City. Cheer, chat. Yeah, shout out to New York City and the boroughs. Yeah, most of the viewership, it's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then followed by New York. But see, that makes sense, though, because Umar's from Philadelphia, and Umar spent a lot of time in New York in them earlier days. He spent, especially with Sonnetter in the House of Consciousness. I know one person who needs to go to jail whose name is Jermaine, and that's Jay Morrison. Y'all don't know. Y'all didn't know his name is Jermaine. Yeah, and this is an interesting point. Umar has more loyalty to his chair than he does to his own children. I mean, that's deep and it's true. He cares more about that chair than he does his own children. Now that's some crazy shit right there. And it shows at least two things. One, that Umar's a hoarder, but number two, that there is a serious disconnect, an emotional and mental disconnect between Umar and his children. Because see, the idea is that when you have children, you're supposed to have some sort of connection to them, right? And it should be a very strong connection to provide for them, to love them, to take care of them, to keep them safe, etc. But Umar, it doesn't register in his mind. He has more affinity for a chair than he does his own children. That tells you a lot right there. That's a really good point, Deuces. Really good point. Thank you. I mean, y'all on it today. Thank y'all so much. Correct chats undefeated. Let's go. Manny says, does the city of Wilmington have enough to support? Does the city of Wilmington have enough to support? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Does the city of Wilmington have enough to support? Yeah, I'm not quite sure, Manny, what you're asking there. If you can rephrase it, you don't have to send another super chat, but you can post in the chat room. I'll try to catch it. Thank you for the super chat. Kadar also says, we need to run a fade before he backs out and moves to Ghana. A poor example of a black man. I'm glad it didn't open. Can you imagine him with boys? That's another thing I've thought about, that it's a blessing that and it's never going to open. It's not going to happen. I had someone post today that they believed that it was going to open. I'm sorry, but you're delusional. I can pull up the post, but I'm not gonna do that to you out of respect. You're delusional. Umar is not interested in opening up a school. If he was, he would have been up there every single day for the last 6.5 years. It's about to be 7 years, and he would have shown and proved his dedication and commitment by actually getting things done. That's not what we see with Umar. Like I said, we've never seen Umar up there and work attire. When was the last time you seen Umar up there in some Timberlands, some work boots, steel-toed, with a work belt, tool belt with tools in it, measuring tape, hammer, nails, dealing with drywall, working at, we ain't seen none of that with Umar. In 6.5 years, he goes up there and dashikis. He goes up there at 1 a.m. Pouring water on his head, smoked out and shit. People think that somehow he's going to open up a school soon. That's not going to happen. See? So the point is that that's a blessing, because can you imagine how Umar would be with other people's children? Look how he is with his own. He has an abusive personality. He talks recklessly. That's what I don't understand it for the life of me. You Umar Johnson followers who think that you would want to send your child to Umar, something wrong with you. I just have to say it. I try not to be mean or say stuff that something wrong with you. He has no business being around no children. He's always talking about sex. Well, you want someone who's 50-something years old, always talking about sex, always talking reckless, and you want your son around someone like that? Something wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with your son. Something wrong with you and something wrong with Umar. I hate to say it that way, but that's the truth. See, Umar gets a pass because of the cult dynamic. He can talk crazy and reckless about black people, but you let the white person say the same thing, all of a sudden, this person is racist. But Umar say the same exact thing and he gets a pass. Well, the same thing with all the sexual explicit talk. If this was anybody else, if it was your child's principal or teacher who was talking like that, y'all be up in arms and it'd be out, y'all, it'd be all over the news, everything. But Umar does it, and you want, okay, I'm gonna send my child to him. Okay. We leave right there. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing that Umar, this school will never open. Real talk. Thanks, Kadar. Someone said, "Who's next?" Not sure what you mean by that. Thank you for the super chat. Ghostface sent in a super sticker. Thanks so much. And there's that munition. Yeah, boy, that messed Umar's thing up real bad. It sure did. Manny also says, if Umar had a job, would things be different? I don't think so. I don't think things would be different for him because he has too much other stuff in his personal life going on to try to create some sort of stability, because that's really what the word is. Umar's so unstable. He's unstable in many different ways, including his living conditions. Just unstable emotionally, mentally unstable. I don't think that a job, it would make a difference with all of that. What the thing is that Umar, he has to clear out space in order to really get some stability in his life. So if he just simply, if he added a job to what he's doing, it's things wouldn't be different because he's still doing what he's doing. But, and this is what I've recommended to him for years, if he got himself cleaned up, get into rehab, right? Get himself cleaned up. And then by doing that, that'll also put him in a position where he can get the psychological services that he needs. Okay, he needs to handle those two things in the first place. He has to stop with all the scamming and scheming and traveling and crushing cookies. All that stuff has to be let go. He has to really focus on his personal life. And then what that will do is to put him in the right state of mind, mentally, emotionally, right? Physically. See what I'm saying? To where he can actually get a job and hold a job. But what the job would do is it will provide him with stability, because then he won't have to be frantic all the time, rushing around trying to scam people out of money to get his next fix under the guise of opening up a school. I told Umar this a long time ago. He don't listen. And look where he's at today. Okay. Thanks, Manny, for the super chat. Honey Bun Brown. I'm sorry. I said Honey Bun. I apologize. See, they were rubbing off. I'm so sorry. I did this yesterday too. I think I did it the day before too. I'm tripping. I'm so sorry. It says Honeydew Brown. I'm so sorry. Listen, I apologize. No disrespect, please. I apologize. Boy, I'm tripping. Okay. Oh my God. Please forgive me for that. It says I apologize. Why can't the family see his mother? Aren't there legal ways they can go about with making him show her to a doctor or a lawyer, etc.? I'm so confused. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't have the answer to that. I've thought about it though. We did have his Umar's nephew on to talk about this situation. I don't know. I really don't know. Now, what I'm getting at is I don't know what has been done already, and I don't know to what degree. I do know this, that as a child of a person, in this case, Umar's mother, you do have a right to see them, right? You have a right to see them. Umar is not allowing that to take place. That's why I'm saying it's like he's hoarding his mother. He keeps her imprisoned. She's more of an object or a possession than anything else. That's really in Umar's mind. She's a possession, but the possession is important for Umar to keep for the enmeshment issues. You know, he was separated from his mother and sent off to boarding school when he was around 13, 14 years old. Okay, that was very traumatizing. He's always, and he admits it, he was a mama's boy. He's still a mama's boy to a degree. That's why he's trying to live off you black women. He sees y'all as his mamas that take care of his ass and pay for shit, but then also someone to sexually exploit. That's why he wants the women that got the hair that's all gray and stuff. Huh? Put the pieces together. Hit the one if you know what I'm talking about. It's some things going on with the guy. And it's not just the gray hair thing. He wants a gray hair motherly figure type. That's Lenon. Y'all understand what I'm saying? It's not just the gray hair. Because I like that too, to be honest with you. But that's because I'm all gray and stuff. But it's the gray hair and then the motherly type that'll take care of his ass and cuddle with him and coddle him and make him feel like a baby. That's what she said. She said she was like a baby. So the point is that behind the scenes, I'm not quite sure what the family has done and to what degree they have done. I do know this, that they have a right to see the mother, but Umar, she's his prisoner in essence, and then it's to his benefit because he lives off of her. He's in charge of her money that she gets. He's the one that handles that. Y'all think that somehow all that money is going towards her? She has Section 8 housing, stable. It provides Umar with a place to stay from time to time. You think he wants to let that go? So what I would say is that legally, other family members should have a right to see the mother. And if it's a legal issue, then a lawyer needs to be hired to go through a process so that the mother is in a position to where she can see the rest of the family. I mean, it's really sad if you guys think about it, because this has been going on for Umar, based on what Umar says, 7.5 years. That's a long time. We're getting close to a decade, where the mother, who refers to Umar as the devil, she can't even see other family members. That ain't right. So I don't know how this is going to be resolved. I think that it's a legal issue in essence, because they have rights. And in that case, a lawyer would have to, some sort of a legal proceedings need to take place in order to ensure that family members are able to see her. I'm gonna tell y'all what I think. I think Umar shouldn't be there in the first place. Even if he's the primary caretaker, it doesn't necessitate him being there as much as he's there. And if he's hiring other people to take care of the mother, that still doesn't mean that he should be keeping the mother away from the children, from her children and her grandchildren, etc. So this is to say that they should be able to visit the mother whenever they want to visit the mother. But Umar doesn't allow that. He keeps her. It's sad. It's just sad. Thank you. Let me say it right. Honeydew Brown. Thank you so much. Now that time I was going to say honey muffin. I'm just playing. Honey bun, honey muffin. I'm just playing. Thank you for the super chat. And I apologize for saying it earlier, sis. I apologize. Bob Gums. What in the world? Unfortunately, he learned from corrupt preachers in our community. I don't think Umar learned how to do what he's doing from preachers. I don't. And the reason why I say that is I don't know. I don't know. Because his mother is Christian. His daddy, Muslim. He said that his grandmother was Jehovah's Witness, and that his uncle was a 5%er. I think that's what he said. Gods and earth. If that, I think gods and earth. So I don't know how much time Umar, if in fact he spent time in church, how much time he spent in church. But then it would also have to be that these the preachers in that church were corrupt. I don't know if that actually took place, because remember, Umar, his name is changed by his father. That was, well, I mean, I guess if it was earlier on, but I don't think so. It's just a time. It doesn't work with the timeline. His name is changed to from Jermaine Shoemake to Umar ibn Abdullah, Umar ibn Rashad Abdullah Johnson. That was when Umar was 8. And I've heard him say that he was raised as Muslim. Okay, but his mother's Christian. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not quite sure about that. Again, it's a point of research that probably needs to be explored, but I'm not quite sure. What I can say is that Umar, he's been scamming for a very long time, at least 20 years. It's probable that he was involved with other types of lesser scams prior to that. And I think it just goes back to childhood. I just think he was a rotten apple. I think he probably was a rotten apple from the beginning, always mischievous, defiant. You know, I'm talking about defiant to family. I think he also was bullied. I think he had a very difficult time adjusting to society. I think he still has a very difficult time adjusting to society. I think that what Umar does when he gets on stage, he just turns into a character and he plays that role. But then after everything's over with, he turns back into like a soft little boy who ain't got no bite to him, just a bunch of bark, you know. But in terms of if he learned it from preachers, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure about that. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. I think I'm almost at the bottom. I apologize. We didn't really get going to what I want to get to, but we're still going to get to it today. We got to get to it today. We still got 900 people in the building. Thank you guys so much. There is a poll question. Make sure you get your vote in on that poll question. And if you haven't hit that like button, we're at 777 likes. 777. Let's see if we can get to 800 before we close out this live. I'm sure we will. Thank you guys so much for all of the likes, and thanks to the Quick Fresh Chat, and thanks to the mods too for handling business too. Thank you. Manny also says sisters need to go back to you got to have a job if you want to be with me. I remember that song. Or because I try to give Umar grace. If he was running a legitimate business, okay, I could see that. But he's not running a legitimate business. So if you're not going to run a legitimate business, then you should be working a job, or you should work a job and you run your legitimate business. But Umar doesn't do either. You guys see what I'm saying? What he's done is he's lived off of black people sending him money for a school that does not exist. And he's been at this based upon what I've seen online. Again, I try to give Umar grace. I know since 2009, but I've heard people say 2008, 2007. I even heard someone say 2006. Okay. But I tend to go with 2010 because that's where he posts in January that school's going to open September 11, 2013. And you best believe that if he's posting that early January, that he was talking about it in 2009 at some point, probably towards the end of the year. So I give Umar grace on this. I say since 2010. But if we look at Umar's timeline in terms of when he stops working consistently, we're talking 2010, we're talking 2011. So since 2010, let's say 2011, Umar's been living off of the people for 14 years. Hasn't worked consistently and is not running a legitimate business. Instead, what he's been doing is running different scams and cons. The FDMG school scam is just one example of it. He has different iterations of it. St. Paul school scam, Detroit school scam, Wilmington school scam, the New York school scam. I can't remember where was that exactly in New York, but the Chicago school scam with the Archdiocese of Chicago. They were trying to sabotage the Florida school scam, the Atlanta school scam, the Ghana school scam. List goes on and on and on. And I can pull all this up to show you guys. Detroit one was crazy. So he's been living off of black people in this way and scamming. You know, the Shockumentary was another scam where he collected money. The Rules of Romance is another, scam that he was running. A lot of the ideas that he throws out there, those are all scams too. Some of those he's collected money for, other he hadn't collected any money for. But the point is that that's how he's lived. So for Umar, a job would be beneficial, but he would have to get his personal life in order in the first place, because someone with Umar's level of addiction, even if you gave them a job, they wouldn't be able to keep it. We're not even, I'm just talking about just getting there, being on time. They wouldn't be able to keep it. I'm not even talking about being there and being productive. Can you imagine Umar being productive? No, he has a lot of underlying issues that need to be addressed before he can be functional enough just to hold a job. And see, without that job, he's been scamming. But the other thing is that it would be different if he ran a legitimate business. But he's not business minded. He don't even pay basic bills. So how is he going to run a business? If he can't run a business, how are you going to run a school? If he can't monetize his Instagram page and run it as a business, why y'all think that somehow he can run a school? Thank you, Manny, for the super chat. Okay, I'm almost at the bottom. Let me get to the video. Your kids will see this. How's it going? It says, Lenon, I'm glad your work has encouraged others. Yeah, that's been really, really cool, and I'm happy for that. There's people who are covering Umar now that weren't covering Umar before, and the more the better. The only thing I encourage people to do, if they haven't done already, is just make sure you do your research and put together your own timeline. I have a timeline, but put together your own timeline, and start mapping all this stuff out. Okay, you can start really, if you want to, you can start in 2019. Because go start watching those videos from, you ain't got to watch all of them, but watch the videos from 2019 where Umar, he's giving updates on FDMG. Watch the videos where he's doing tours and the lights are off. Watch the videos where he's talking about anytime he's talking about money. He rarely does anyway. He hasn't given an update on the money since a figure since 2020. And that was $850,000 in 2020. Even though back in 2016, he said it was at $1 million. And then you go to 2020 and start watching those videos. Look at where Umar is at. By this time, he's always in and out of hotel rooms live streaming. He's no longer in his residence anymore. See, put together the timeline. You start to see how all this plays itself out. Go look into the public record, Umar Johnson, in terms of evictions process and all this stuff. And look into the public record in terms of Umar in tax liens. All that is public record. Start to put that into your timeline too. Get into 2021, get into 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. And you start to see the pattern. There's always a pattern with this guy. He's a creature of habit. But if you have your timeline in order based upon the research, you literally have content, not for days, not for weeks, not for months, but for years. I'm hipping y'all to the game. Okay? But in the first place, you got to have the research, and then you got to put together that timeline because it opens everything up. Okay. And then you can go back and start going back to Umar childhood if you want to. Okay. Because there's videos. There's one video in particular on Facebook where he talks a lot about his childhood. Right. Check out the 2005. Check out the UNIA letter. Have that on your timeline. Look at where he says he gets these degrees. Have that on your timeline too. Because then when you get to 2012 and he finally gets that PsyD, you start to ask questions. Why is it that Umar in 2007 was saying that he was a doctor back then? You see how this works? Okay. All right. So yeah, I hope more and more people cover Umar. The more, the better. Right? Always be fair. Don't lie on Umar. Make sure you have your receipts in order. Make sure you have your facts and handle the business. Okay. But always be fair. Always be fair with Umar. Thanks, your kids will see this. I appreciate it. KK says, instead of a block party, he could have thrown a college fair, job training or something for the kids. Yeah, definitely a college fair. That could have been done easily. And that wouldn't cost much money either, because colleges, they have people who actually do that job. He could just organize, have tables out there, have refreshments or something. Nothing big. Not gonna be nothing big. That's how I got into college with my previous employer, because they had people come out and they were just sitting on the, they had desks right when you come in. They had some desks. It wasn't a lot. It was like maybe 4 different schools, maybe 5 different schools. And I went to each one, and I talked to this one lady. She was pretty too, because I remember to this day. I was talking to her, and she explained how, wait a minute, if you're a supervisor at this school, they'll pay for everything. I said, are you serious? Yeah. So then I went to HR and I talked with them. They said, yeah, that's how this works. And that's when I decided to go get back into college, and the company paid for it. So Umar could have done something like that. It wouldn't have cost that much money. There's all kinds of things that he could have done with these children. Even if he wanted to do, and he promised that he was going to do a sports league or a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. He never did that. He could have had, let's say if Umar just, that's the problem, because it's not like you can just have one room up to code. You have to have the whole building up to code. But there's a lot of things that he could have had someone come do music lessons. I remember he was trying to turn the office into a music studio. Don't make me pull that shit up. That was crazy. I thought this was supposed to be a school for black boys. You're talking about they're going to turn it into a music studio. But even that as an idea, that's something that could have been taught in that community, mixing, sound engineering, mixing, mastering, recording, all that stuff. There's all kinds of things. He's had the money to do it, but most of the money has gone towards Umar in his addictions. And he's tricked off a lot of that money in traveling and all these other things. And unfortunately, it hasn't benefited anyone but Umar. None of the money has benefited anyone else except Umar. And it definitely hasn't benefited black children and black boys. Yeah, it's a shame. It really is. Millions of dollars. Thanks, KK. Wanda says, Umar is vicariously trying to do the job his parents failed to do for him by saving black boys. The sad thing is that he has not taken the time to heal himself or learn to parent. Yes, you're absolutely right about this. Umar has a lot of healing to do. And I've said this in the past, and it ties to what you're saying here, trying to do the job that his parents failed to do for him. Umar's conceptualization of a boarding school is based upon the boarding school that he went to. And he was shipped off. It was a decision by his father to ship him off when he was in the 8th grade. He was 13 years old in 1987. It's the Scotland School for Veterans Children. Traumatizing experience to be shipped away. He was the only one shipped away out of all the siblings. Remember, his mama has, I believe, 5 children. Jamal has 4. Yeah. And then there's another one, though, too. So, yeah, I would have to go back and look, because it's more complicated than what I'm explaining here. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. But the point is that he's the only one that's sent away. So he separated from his family. He was a mama's boy. So that's a traumatizing experience in itself. But and then when he's there, based upon how Umar tells the story, I believe that he was traumatized while he was there. And I'm gonna leave that right there. Okay? So I said this in the past, that Umar's conceptualization of FDMG, part of it was that it was going to be a boarding school. Sounds familiar. And that he's running everything. Okay, this is a megalomania with Umar. He's a megalomania. He wants to be in control of everything. Narcissism is tied into this too. And I said that Umar, the notion, because a lot of the rhetoric was, I'm going to save your sons. You know how many sons, how many black boys I've saved? You hear him talk like this. But really, it's just Umar projecting. He's talking about himself and how he felt as if he needed to be saved from his father, from being shipped off to the Scotland School for veterans, from being bullied in the neighborhood, from being shipped off to the Scotland School for veterans children, from the abuse that he, in my opinion, the abuse that he experienced while he was at that at the Scotland School for Veterans Children, boarding school. So really what it is, Umar's, I'm going to save black boys, which ties to what you're saying. It's really Umar's internalized suffering and pain. And as you said here, that has not been healed being expressed, wherein Umar sees other little boys now as the target that somehow he's going to save them and in the process save himself. But he's 51 years old. See, that's what happens. If you don't do the healing work, you're always going to be stuck. That's why I say he's in a state of arrested development. He still sees himself as that child who's always being victimized. That's why he's always acting like the victim at the age of 51 fucking years old. And it's LenonHonor. It's the Cookie Crush chat. It's Lenon. It's the city of Wilmington. It's the Archdiocese of Chicago. It's the white lawyer. You guys see what I'm saying? It's really deep though. It is. It's deep. It is. So Umar, the idea of him saving black boys, it's really he's trying to save himself, but that's not how this works. You don't have a time machine. What you got to do is do the personal work and heal thyself. And Umar has a lot of underlying issues. He has a lot of trauma, and see it's crazy, Kidwana, because he believes he's the greatest psychologist, black psychologist of all time. So what do you do with a person like that? They feel it, and he calls himself the Black Christ. So, therapy. I need to go get therapy. I'm Black Christ. I'm Big Papa. I'm King Kong Cotton. You see what I'm saying? But that's what he needs in the first place. He needs to go through that healing process. And part of that healing process, like I said before, he needs to get the mental health services he needs. He also needs to get into detox. He needs to get stabilized. He needs to get his mind right so he can get stabilized enough. You got to let go of all the scheming and chasing after these skirts like a little, hormone crazed teenager and shit, and start acting like a man, and then settle down and get a job or run a legitimate business. That's what he needs to do. But he has a long way to get to that point, one step at a time. Thank you, Kitwana. Good point. Jam7 says, facts, best gathering around Cooker Chat. Lenon, thank you so much. Yeah, the Cooker Chat, it's the bomb. It's the bomb. I ain't never seen nothing like it. Okay, and welcome to everyone. Also, welcome to all the newer people too. You guys are welcome, including Umar Johnson followers. I'm not here to disrespect you all. And there's been times where I have said things I probably shouldn't have said. And I've apologized for those things. I don't mean to offend anybody. I never have. I don't give a shit about Umar. You can be offended. I don't really give a shit. But I'm not here to offend people. But you guys are welcome here too. Hopefully you guys will learn some things about Umar that you didn't know, and then you have informed consent, and you can make an educated decision as to whether or not Umar is worthy of your support. Not everyone is worthy of your support. Let's be clear about that. Not everyone is. And see, we black folk, we have a culture where we help each other. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't mean that everyone who comes around is worthy of that help. Some people like Umar, they're just trying to exploit you. That's all I'm saying in a nutshell. Okay. Thanks, Jam7. IMS says he could have started a therapy app for black boys. There you go. There you go. Damn. I never thought of nothing like that. I have a degree in cybersecurity. I ain't never thought of nothing like that. And computer technology. I ain't never thought about nothing like that. Umar could put together an app for black boys for therapy. And there's so much that he could have done with that. See, he could have connected to that app professionals, black therapists and male therapists with different expertise that could be matched up with boys who have certain issues, and they can do therapy online. How much to develop an app like that? 20, 30, maybe $35,000, maybe 40,000, depending on features. Of course, you're going to have to update it over time. But like I said, he's wasted over $300,000 on bills for a school that doesn't exist. Now that's a good one right there. If he was serious, Big Papa. If you were serious about, as we say, really about that life, why not do an app? Why not do the website that has content to help Black males who are dealing with emotional issues and giving them resources and books to read or books that are PDFs to download. You can sell the shits. And then have videos from professionals talking about, how difficult it may be and inspire them and let them know you're not alone. A lot of Black men, that's how we used to feel back in the day, right? And then you have the app on top of that they can have on their phone that allows them to connect with. Anyway, we can go on and on. We can go on and on. Well, then how do they pay for it? Well, some of these therapists will be willing to work for free. Some of them, if you want to do medical billing, okay, well now, Umar, you got to up your game. You got to up your game. You get knowledgeable about that too. And so that you can process payments and all that, the PCI, DSS and all this other stuff. I say that right. All this other stuff, and then, but see, you got to have a team too. People who are knowledgeable about these things. Brother Dion could have helped with that. See? But Umar, he's a one-man show because it's all about the money. And he don't want to spend no money on anything except for what he needs for himself and to give the illusion of progress. And it's really that simple. But wow, what a powerful tool that would have been right there. Because, and I've heard Umar talk about, look, Black girls are, they're having these mental health. Okay, well, why not do a therapy app for Black boys and a therapy app for Black girls? Every single day on that app, even if they're not getting psychological services, automatically it updates with words of encouragement or a quote for the day to give inspiration to that child. Like, you're meant to be here. The world needs you. You are loved. See? Shit. You got my mind going now. But no, Umar want to get online and go at his own daughter, who's obviously suffering seriously with the mental health, and disparaging her, and then tell his quote unquote goony goon bitches, all of them, tell his goony goons to go, and I said it, tell his goony goons to go and get into her DMs and go at her and attack her online. We're going to leave that right there. Thank you for the super chat. Kadar says he needs a date with the cleaning crew for us. Listen, Umar's filthy. I remember when I said this a long time ago, there were so many people that were mad at me, including Umar Johnson. No, it's a statement of fact. I'm not trying to demean the guy. He's filthy. He don't bathe right. He don't clean up right. He's a hoarder. Long time, not long time, but years ago, there was a woman that contacted me and she provided me with, she didn't show me pictures, but she provided me receipts in terms of her texting Umar and interacting with him flying her out, because that's a lot of that money that y'all sent for them donations. He's tricking it off. He's flying women out to have sex with them, putting them up in hotels and shit. Damn. That's crazy. that don't compute in my mind. I'm trying to figure that out right there, but I'm gonna let it go. I'm like, find out what on donors' money. But the point is that I remember she told me, and this was before he flipped the phone. I believe it was before he flipped the phone. No, it might have been after. I can't remember because it was a long time ago. But she was like, this is when he had his apartment. So it was in 2019. It could have been in 2018. It was probably 2019 then. Now I think about it. It was probably before he actually flipped the phone. Because I didn't really start consistently doing Umar videos until 2019. I was doing it in 2018, but then 2019 rolled on. So I really got going. But I remember she told me that when she went into his apartment, and he had a place back then, that was his last residence, that it was filthy. And I remember she was talking about, and this is one of my pet peeves, the kitchen was filthy. Plates of food, old food with mold on them and shit, plates all over the, and it smelled bad. And I said to myself, this guy, he's filthy. Now, this is before, it had to have been before he flipped the phone, because I remember when she told me, I was shocked. So it had to have been before he flipped the phone. But then he flipped that phone. And I said, now I see. And then years later, here in 2025, Lenon comes out and talks about the filth. I said, and then that video where he flipped the phone, shout out to the person who sent it to me. They know who they are. He flipped that phone in mama closet. I said, damn, there's a bag of potatoes in the corner. Why you got a bag of potatoes inside your mama closet? You see that closet back there? That's like having a bag of potatoes in that closet. Filthy. Anyway, thanks, Kadar. Brian says, have you seen the screenshot of a message where Umar told one of his supporters he would open the school when he decided to? No, I ain't seen that. I wish I had it. If anyone has it, please email it to me. No action. The reason why I'm laughing is because I apologize. The reason why I'm that's crazy. The reason why I'm laughing is because that's Umar. It reminded me when he was on The Good Twin, Bad Twin. And that was like, so, you know, when is the school going to open? And Umar was like, well, I can't give a date. I got to wait for y'all. It depends on when y'all going to give me that money. So this is in the same vein. This is Umar. This is Umar 101. So there's a screenshot of a message where Umar told one of his supporters he would open the school when he decided to. That's wild. But listen, I ain't seen it, but I totally believe it. I ain't saying that it's true, but I believe it. Okay. If anyone has that, please email it to me. That's wild. That sounds like Umar to a T. Thanks, Brian. Well, and the thing is that Umar, he's so arrogant about everything. I mean, he really is. He's so arrogant. That's like when people they sent him money and he called them trifling ass, the donors trifling ass black people. And then he said, I need some more and I need some more. And that's how we're going to do that. And if you have a problem with that, we can handle it outside. What? All right. Thanks, Brian. That's crazy. I believe it, though. How's it going? SH Play says, become a member of this channel and get Lenon's video on other hot topics and more Umar insight. Yeah. If you guys are interested, there's a join. And thank you for saying that, SH Play. We got a whole lot of members, way more than what I ever thought was possible. I have an archive of Umar Johnson videos. There's hundreds of videos in archive. And I've noticed more recently that there are people who are members that are going back and watching those videos and they're leaving comments. They're only for members. The thing is that this has been going on for such a long time, you know, and those older videos, even back then, the research was good, but it's not as good as it is now. But you could even see back then that something was not right with Umar. And then you bring it all the way up to the present, and it becomes very, very apparent. So I want to thank everyone who has become a member, and shout out to members. I do from time to time cover other topics in member videos, but I want to thank everyone who has been a member here on my YouTube page. And some people, they'll come for a while, and then they'll cancel their membership for a while, then they'll come back, and so forth and so on. You know, if you guys want extra content, I'll just, you know, you're welcome to do that. Okay, thank you again, SH Play, for mentioning that. Thank you for the super chat as well. All right, I'm almost to the bottom, man. We already 2 hours and 43 minutes in, but we got to get through this. Kitwana says, I believe that Umar's original trauma is a failure to attach with his parents. He also did not achieve his developmental markers. Okay, with the attached to his parents, what I would say is that definitely not with his father, because when Umar was around 1 year old, that's when his father went off into the military. So Umar did not have a consistent, Jamal Johnson was not a consistent presence in Umar's life. Okay, it's the nature of being in the military. They did live down there with them I believe it was in North Carolina for about 1.5 years. It may have been 2 years. I'm not so sure on that particular detail. Let me see here. 1981, that's when Jamal married Barbara, in around 1981. Umar was in the 2nd grade. He was 7, but Umar was born in 1974. His father goes off into the military in 1975. He's stationed in Paris Island, South Carolina. Again, Umar was in Philly at that time. He's also in North Carolina, Jacksonville at Camp Johnson in 1977. He's in Okinawa, Japan. Okay, he's on the other side of the world in 1978. At that time, Umar was 4 years old. He's in Virginia in 1979 at Quantico. Umar was 5 years old. Umar's in kindergarten in Philadelphia at Duckery Elementary. You guys see what I'm saying? This is distance. And again, it's not like today, because back then we didn't have the internet. So it's not like in cell phones, we didn't have that either. So the point is that the communication was sparse, and then the physical interaction was minimal. And then Okinawa in 1980. Umar, he's 6 years old. 1981, Quantico, Virginia. 1982, Jacksonville, North Carolina. Paris Island, South Carolina in 1982 through 1984. Umar moves down there in and around 1981, 1982. And he's down there with his father and the other kids and his mama, roughly for, I would say, probably about 2 years. And then Jamal divorces Barbara, and then the family has to go back to Philadelphia. Okay. So the point is that Umar's father was never really present consistently in his life. Even in his later years, he wasn't consistently present. And the thing is, what's interesting about Umar in terms of from a psychological standpoint that a lot of people may not be aware of is that he's conflicted in all this, because I've heard Umar say things like, my father was there, but then also hear him say that his father wasn't there. So which one is it? Well, based upon the timeline, based upon our research, physically, his father was unable to be there consistently because he was stationed in other places other than Philadelphia. And at times he was stationed, he wasn't even here inside the United States of America. Okay, so that can be stated as a statement of fact. Furthermore, by the time Umar gets into, let's see, he's told that he's related to Frederick Douglass in 1985 when he's 11 years old. And so in terms of how I think and how my mind thinks, okay, well, if his father told him that, if his father was consistently present in his life, and if his father was a descendant of Frederick Douglass, and that means so much to the family, then why didn't Umar learn about this until Umar was in the 6th grade in 1985 when he was 11 years old? Well, that's because his father wasn't around consistent enough to actually give him that information. You guys see my point? If he had been consistent, and that's such a big, and it is, for they were so big on that. They're not related to, by the way, but they were so big on that. That information would have been imparted to Umar at a very early age, as soon as he could understand that, 4, 5, 6 years old, right? Furthermore, one other point to make here to tie to what you're saying, Kidwana, is that Jamal marries his second wife, rest in peace, in around 1987, and Umar's 13 years old. That coincides with the same year that Umar shipped off to Scotland School, the Scotland School for Veterans Children. So even at that time, his father wasn't consistently present because his father had a whole nother wife and started a whole nother family and abandoned the other family. That means Umar, his mama, and other siblings. That's why Umar Johnson's nephew, he states it clearly that Barbara's children do not like Jamal. And part of it is because Jamal abandoned that family. So this is all to say, how is it possible that Umar would be able to develop a genuine attachment or connection to his father under these types of circumstances? It's not that it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely to achieve that. And it's evident as we're in 2025, and we've seen Umar go at his daddy. We've seen his daddy go at Umar and criticize him online, which I've criticized his daddy for doing. He shouldn't have done it because he's supposed to be a father. That's not how you handle business, but we've talked about that in the past. So this all to say that the attachment, I think, on one hand, I agree with you that the father thing that never materialized and manifested. But then what I would also say is that the attachment that Umar has to his mother is an unhealthy attachment. It's called something that's called enmeshment. Okay, it's still dysfunctional, but at least he was in his mother's life, and his mother was present in his life enough to where Umar was able to make some type of connection, but it's still an unhealthy connection. And then it plays itself out in 2025. And over the last 7.5 years, where Umar sees her as a possession that is to be dominated and kept away from other family members. So either way, it's an unhealthy situation. And then the last part right here is that he did not achieve his developmental markers. That's highly likely. I actually think that Umar, well, I'm not going to say that. I believe it to be true, but I'm not going to say that. I just think that Umar, he has had some developmental issues, and that these developmental issues still persist to this day, and it can be exhibited in his fantastical imagination, like a child that didn't grow up, state of arrested development, his inability to regulate his emotions. See, when he goes on these rants and starts yelling and screaming, and then also his inability to take care of himself as a grown person. He's dependent on Black people. He's dependent on his mama for a place to stay. And like I said, he don't have his own house. He don't have his own car. He's been homeless for since 2019, into 2019. List goes on and on. I've said this many times before. Those are all part of these are all developmental issues, because as you develop and you come into adulthood, you're supposed to hit certain markers too. Like, okay, I got to have my own place. I got to have my own car. You know, I got to make sure I'm taking care of my kids. You know, so forth and so on. I got to make sure that I can take care of myself. Umar can't do any. He hasn't done any of those things. Okay, that's part of the development. That's why I say that Umar is in a state of arrested development. There's other things I can say, but I'm trying to have some grace with Umar Kidwana, but you probably know what I'm talking about. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, I'm almost at the bottom. Bob Gunn says, Essence, walk that idea out for yourself indeed. Yeah. Maybe you're talking about the Essence had brought this right here. He could have started the therapy app for Black boys. Yeah, I mean, I've never thought about that, but there's so much potential in something like that. And if Umar was of the right mind and right emotional state, and if he managed money properly, wasn't scamming, that's something that he could have done that would have really, really had a powerful impact. But unfortunately, just like with FDMG, it's all for naught. It's just wasted money at the end of the day. Okay. Thank you, Bob Guns, for the super chat. Kadar became a member. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. One also says, if we use the Maslow modeler, Umar is stuck in level 1, psychological needs, or level 2, safety needs. Emotionally, Umar is 12 years old. We blessed that Umar never provided treatment. He would have done severe damage. Yeah, he's never been a therapist. He's never been licensed as a therapist. He's never been licensed as a psychologist either to any degree. And currently, he holds no licenses. He holds no certifications either. No professional certifications. So yeah, that's the one thing I think Umar, he would have really caused some serious damage. And he did to a degree though, because back in the day, he did function as a school psychologist, and he was causing problems back then. That's why he could not consistently work or at least for an extended period of time in the Philadelphia school district. They just wouldn't have him. He was a problem even back then, even before he got into the charter school scene. Umar going into the charter school scene, it was more of out of desperation, because he had burned so many bridges in the public school, right? In the public school system environment. So that ties to what you're saying here too, in terms of treatment. That yeah, he's never been a therapist, even though he claims that he has. He's been a school psychologist, and a school psychologist is not the same as a therapist. You guys can look that up for yourself. And I know what you're talking about in terms of the level 1, the psychological needs, because someone had brought this up maybe a couple of years ago. And I didn't know what they were talking about, and we actually looked it up. And then 2, safety needs, emotional. I agree. I would say Umar is, I would say probably in around the 10, 11 years old, 12 possibly. But emotionally, yeah, that's where he's at. He doesn't handle stress very well. Emotionally, he's up and down. He doesn't know how to regulate his emotions. That's one of the big red flags, especially for you women, if you're dealing with a man and he doesn't know how to regulate his emotions. Sometimes we can get upset. Okay, I get that. I think part of that too is just it can be necessary in a situation where we have to get upset in order to get in the right state of mind for protective purposes. Okay, because I can get like that too. Don't mess with my kids. Don't mess with my wife, because you're gonna see another type of person in me. All right, but that's different, because you can regulate that. With Umar, he has no regulatory device. He hasn't developed that skill quite yet. And so that's why Umar, you'll see him, he'll rage from time to time. He may be going on a rage soon. I would say that even the Michael Barnes interview with Father David, that this is Umar, and it shows his inability to regulate his emotions, because you can hear the stress inside of his voice, which is completely unnecessary, right? So yeah, I agree with that. I would put it 10, maybe 11 years old. Okay, some people may even say earlier than that he's stuck in a state of arrested development, but I would say 10, 11. You know, I have children, and all of my children are more mature than Umar is. It's likely that you guys, his children, if they're above the age of 10, 11, 12, they're probably more mature, emotionally mature than Umar is. Yeah. Can you imagine how much damage he would cause if he was a therapist? Can you imagine how much damage he would have caused if he actually opened up a school with dealing with children? Something for people to think about. Yeah. Thank you, Kitwana. And if you guys, I would encourage people, go check that out, the Maslow model. I remember someone brought it up, and I didn't know what they were talking about a couple of years ago, and it's fascinating stuff. Okay. Thank you again. Mr. I don't give a shit says, a bag of potatoes in the closet is worth 2 in the bush. All right, I'll take your word for it. Thank you. Your kids will see it says, Umar's DNA is not all African, so why does he not accept he is mixed and accent on all kids and accent on, okay, I don't know what the last part is. Let me just explain something to you guys. If you are African American, there is a 99.9% chance that you are mixed. Okay, don't take it the wrong way. This is a statement of fact. Okay, this is science, it's biology, it's genetics. 99.9% of y'all mix with something. It is what it is, and that's okay. Okay, but Umar, he's I'm African. Okay, that's fine. Whatever you however you want to define yourself, it don't really make me no difference. It really don't make me no difference. But I do know one thing: Umar has issues. He has issues associated with his skin color. He has issues associated with his hair texture. He has issues associated with his eye color. See, I've done the research too, by the way. See that the family line that they claim, which it isn't true, through Jamal's line that they're related to Frederick Douglass. If you guys go back far enough, you'll find that Umar Johnson's great grandfather, yeah, I think it was could have been a grandfather. I think it's great grandfather. When he came over from Cuba and he filled out the paperwork, he put white Cuban on there. Furthermore, Umar, if you were actually, and you're not, but if you were actually a descendant of Frederick Douglass was half white. So what you talking about, homeboy? But that's besides the point because you're not related. All right, we're gonna leave it right there. Thank you, your kids. I've done all the research. I already know. Texas Diva gifted 5 membership. Thank you so much, Texas Diva, for doing that. If you received a membership, be sure to thank Texas Diva for that. Very gracious on your part. I appreciate it, and I'm sure they appreciate it too. You guys are awesome. All y'all. Good for chat's awesome. Okay, I got 2 more, and then we're gonna get to the video because we got to finish it tonight. I don't want to have to come back and do part 4 tomorrow because then we're not even gonna get to the video tomorrow. Maybe I should. What time is it? It's late. Dang. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Someone says, guys, stop stun locking Lenor. We got a video to watch. We ain't got time to even get to it, y'all. I apologize. Thank you, user 225. Then the last one was from T. T says he has Jezebel spirit and enjoys exploiting people. A traumatic past is not an excuse to hurt others. Sociopaths tend to have arrested development. This is all true all the way across the board. And that second part, I want to speak to that because we've all gone through things. And many of us, we have traumatic past. I have one too. I have a traumatic past, in particular with my father and his levels of abuse towards my mother and towards us as children. But I could never use it as an excuse to victimize others. If anything, it made me hyper vigilant to where I'm overprotective of my kids. I'm overprotective of my wife. And even when we were growing up, I was overprotective of my mama too, at a certain point. When I got older, I got bigger and stronger. So the point is that we all go through things, and many of you guys, you've gone through things. I would say we've all gone through things. But that does not, it's not an excuse to victimize others. And part of the process is that we have to work through our issues. And if we have to get therapy, we got to get therapy. If we have to go to counseling, we got to go get the counseling. For me, I used to do meditation. That helped me a lot. I used to listen to music that would be kind of classified as being quote unquote spiritual music. That helped me a lot because I've always been deep into music. And I'm still working on things. I'm still working through things. But I know one thing: I was never in a state of mind that I said to myself that just because this was done to me, that I'm going to do this to my children, or that if I did something that was wrong, that I could blame it on the fact that I had a rough childhood. No, I don't believe in that. My children know about my experiences too. I don't really talk about them as much these days, but I have talked with them about certain things. I remember when I told one of my young, I think it was my second son, because my mama was out here, and I was talking about how we grew up and the types of things that we experienced, and I told him that my father used to beat up my mother, and he was shocked by that. He couldn't believe it because he'd never seen that type of thing inside of our household. I'm a believer is that if you put hands on a woman, you should get your hand fucking cut off. You do it a second time, you get your second hand cut off. You do it a third time, and then we got some serious problem then. Okay, I know that's hardcore, but that's how I look at the shit. Because I know the damage that it causes, not just to the mama, but also to the kids that have to witness the abuse, and then they get abused too. So when I told my son that, he couldn't believe it. It couldn't compute. And then you know how children are. Children are. I don't know if it was the same day or the next day. He walked up to my mom and was like, "Did my daddy's daddy used to beat you up?" And she looked at him and she says, "Yeah." He couldn't believe it. See? So they know about at least some of the stuff that we went through as kids, and what my mama went through. But then, you know, I take pride in the fact that I didn't inflict that level of trauma onto my wife or onto my kids. And so with Umar, he has no excuse to be out here doing women the way that he does. It's abusive. What he did with Lene and how he talks under her skirt, that was abusive. What he did with the conscious stripper, that's abusive. What he's doing with his mama, that's abusive. But he can't say because he had a traumatic childhood that that's the reason why he can do that and somehow it's okay. He's supposed to be a psychologist. No, there are no excuses. We got to do the work. We got to do the personal work. We got to do the personal development. We got to put in the time and the effort to work through our issues. And I'm still working through shit. Real talk. Real talk. And that's okay. That's okay. See, I got to give myself grace, and we should give each other grace. But in the same respect, though, we can't allow people like Umar to come in and ravage the Black community, take advantage, abuse people, mainly Black women, and somehow it's okay. I don't believe in that. So I'm going to stay on this. Well, I ain't going to say that because then no did it. We're going to leave it right there. Listen, I'm going to live stream tomorrow. I wasn't planning on it because we got to get through the video. We're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to get literally, listen, I'm promising big time. We're going to get right into the video tomorrow. Okay. But you know, these shows this week have been fantastic. You know, we got blowed off, but a good question. That's y'all's fault, not mine. Don't blame me. Okay. Thanks, T. And thank you for that comment too. Okay. Thank you for the super chat. And one also says, with Umar attachment with his mom from ages 1 to 2 never happened. Yeah, there's no telling. Remember, and I don't know if this applies. I don't know this because in my research, I haven't gotten that, but I haven't gotten that far. But what I will say is, remember that that Umar's in a situation where even before he was born, his mama had a daughter. And if memory serves me correctly, his mama was 16 when she had Umar. May have been 17. So I just want you guys to think about that and do some math. You guys understand what I'm saying? And then you have a situation wherein for Umar, his father is gone by the time when he's around 1 year old. So that's not there. But then you also have other children coming onto the scene. And then Umar is the oldest son. So it may be that because of the family dynamics when Umar was born and then after he was born, with his father being gone, but his father still impregnating the mama and then having all these other kids, that Umar was unable to get into a position because of all these other kids to make the appropriate attachment with his mother. Obviously not with his father because his father wasn't there consistently. But even still, there are no excuses. He's 51 years old. You know, you got to work through your issues and become functional to different degrees. At the very least, you have to become functional as a father if you have children, because your children deserve to have someone functional in their life. They didn't ask to be born. So if you're going to bring them upon the earth, then that's your responsibility to be there for them. You know, my daughter today, she sprained her ankle at school. She was going to go get something to eat off campus, and she had just stepped off of the curb and sprained her ankle and texted me. And she's like, "Can you come pick me up?" And I was like, "What's wrong?" She said she sprung her ankle. And I said, "Well, doesn't the bus, when does the bus get there?" "Oh, in about 20 minutes. I said, "Well, yeah, but by the time I get there, the bus will be there." I tell you what, catch the bus, and when you get to the bus stop, I'll be there by that time to pick you up and I'll take you home. And that's exactly what I did. See, it's those types of things that make the big difference. Then when I got her home, I got her sat her down on the couch. Said, "Do you need anything? Okay, before I get up out of here, you need anything? So go ahead and put your foot up on up here, such and such." I told her brother to look out after her and so forth and so on. See, that's different. See, my sisters, they didn't get none of that from my father. We didn't get none of that. See, when we needed food or money to eat at school, my mom would have to find a way to get the money and then get off work to come and bring us up there at the school because she didn't have the money before we left for school. Sometimes she had to go to my grandmama and she would give her the money, this type of thing. But see, a lot of it had to do with the fact that my father, he wasn't there to handle business as a man, to be the protector and the provider. You see, so in my situation, no excuse. I'm here for my daughters. I'm here for my sons. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'm still working. You know, there's always relationship dynamics in families that you got to work through, and you do your best. But there's no excuse. But preeminently, if we're going to have children, in particular, I'm talking to you men, you got to be there. You got to be there no matter what. And there are no excuses, even if your daddy wasn't shit. Okay. Thank you, Kitwana. Am I saying that too hardcore? I'm just being real with it. All right. Real quick too. I don't hold animosity towards my father these days either. He made a decision to abandon the family and not be present, but he also made a decision to abandon the grandchildren too. My children don't know nothing about him. I mean, they know of him, but they can't go back and say, listen, I remember, granddaddy took us here or and we used to try to involve my father too, but he's so disconnected. He never connected with the children that he had, but he ain't connected with his grandchildren either. See? But I can't hold a grudge. It's like, okay, well, you do you, fuck it. I still gotta raise my family. That's another thing. I think black men, we don't talk about in terms of what it makes it a more difficult. And it is what it is, but it makes it more difficult when you don't have a father in your life, even while you're raising children, and then your children don't have a grandfather while they're being raised by you. You guys understand what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to the day when my children start having children. I think it's too soon right now, most definitely. But once they do, listen, okay, now you're their father, but I'm there too to be their grandfather. You see, I get all happy. I'm looking forward to it. And I can't use my own experiences and, my childhood stuff, my siblings, some of my siblings got it much worse than I did, real talk, but I can't use that as a crutch. No, I got to do better. And then the goal is to be there for my grandchildren. If I'm not dead by that time, hopefully my great grandchildren probably be dead by the time. I always got to say some shit like that. I'll be going in, then I got to say something crazy. All right. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning on in. I appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I will live stream tomorrow. I'll make that commitment, and we got to get to that video. We're going to finish it up for show. I did make a promise too, and that's this video right here to close out with Brother Jose. Real quick, user 225 says, good Garvey Day. We're my bald San Diegan Kings. right here. Thank you. And then user 225 says, not to speak out of line as an Asian, but your point about strong males, family, and community is so true. Stability breeds skepticism towards Umar Johnson type. Yeah. It's not specific to, it's not just a quote unquote black issue. It's an issue I think that permeates all throughout. What I observed is that when you have a strong male fatherly presence in the home, it makes a huge difference. And then when you don't have that, things are quite different. It's something that I notice even with my own children. And it's not that they take it for granted. They just don't know anything. They don't know otherwise. So they can't really relate to how we grew up. We grew up where everything was hand-me-downs. I used to like going to school just because it was free lunch. See, my children don't know nothing about that. Even when we were struggling, we still had food in the house. Okay, but now we got this pantry and it's packed. They got, it's amazing. But they don't know all that other stuff. Getting lights turned off because of non-payment or water turned off. We've been through all that. I can smile about it because we got through it as a family. Because our father, if my father, real talk, if he had done his duty, we would have lived a middle-class life, and we wouldn't have to go through the poverty aspect. And poverty is difficult. It's hard. It really is. It's a difficult experience. And then the aftermath of that, dealing with poverty consciousness, it impacted me quite differently, I think, than most of my siblings. It's imprinted on me. So I'm still struggling with that now. I'm making crazy money and have been for quite some time, but I still feel like I'm not worthy of it. Well, that a lot of it has to do with just how I grew up. So I'm still working through those issues too. Stability breeds skepticism towards Umar Johnson types. Yeah, and Umar's, he's not stable on many different levels. And I'm going to say one last thing because we've been talking about family dynamics here. Umar with his daughter, with how he is now, it may be in a blessing that he's not present in her life. You guys understand what I'm saying? He should be helping, and so, but he's not in the right mindset to do that. He may do more damage than good. I just want to encourage all you men to just, maybe tomorrow, just take a second look at who you are as a person. Ain't got to be nothing deep. Nothing deep. If you have children, take a second look at who you are as a father. Nothing deep. Just take a look at it, right? If you have a girlfriend, well, what kind of boyfriend are you? If you have a fiance, well, what kind of fiance are you? If you have a wife, well, what kind of husband are you? Just take a second look at it, and then it don't have to be nothing deep. Maybe take a minute or two to think about it, and just simply ask yourself, can I do better in any of these areas? See, if anything, Umar teaches us that doing worse is never in the best interest of the individual who's doing worse, or in the people, in the lives of the people who are around him. Umar Johnson's mother, his daughter, even his baby mamas. We're extending it out. His siblings. See? So it's not just about Umar Johnson and criticizing Umar. It's also about us looking at ourselves and asking ourselves, okay, what do I need to do to be better? And I've been doing that now for many, many years. It's been over a decade where I'm really trying to really figure things out and get my shit together. And I've come a very long way. I have. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful that you guys have been, many of you guys have been here for quite some time. You guys remember I was struggling seriously. And you guys have helped me in this process too. And that's why I'm saying I don't take none of this for granted. Even when we get up here and we don't even get to the videos, we just hanging out, the chat room is blowing up, that's enough for me. We can get to some Umar shit too with the videos, but that's enough for me. That's what I'm saying. The Cookie Crush chat is special and it's definitely undefeated. And we're going to keep winning. But I want to encourage you men tomorrow, just take some time, a minute or two, just to think about what can you do better. And if there's anything that you can do better, get on it, get on it. All right. Thank you, user 225, for sharing that as well. And then Tavasia, that's a nice name, says, I would like to say thank you for your award-winning level of research on this monstrosity. You right. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Your coverage is second to none. Let's go Cookie Crush chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. And thanks everybody. Okay, thanks to the mods for handling business today. Thanks for everyone who sent in super chats today. If you sent in Cash Apps or PayPals, I appreciate that. Thanks to everyone who voted on the poll. Let me close out this poll. The final tally, we have 2,082 votes. The question is, how much donation money has Umar Johnson wasted on FDMG bills since February of 2019? 15% said 100,000, 9% said 200,000, 8% said 300,000, and overwhelmingly 69% said over 300,000. And the answer is over $300,000. $300,000 of other people's money wasted on bills. We're not even counting the purchase price. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone who voted. And we got over 900 likes too. Thank you guys for that as well. I appreciate that. And again, Tapasia, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate that. All right. As we wind this down, I promised earlier to play a special show intro outro, and I'm going to keep my word. I didn't keep my word on the Father David video, but we're going to get into that tomorrow. Okay, here we go.
You to overstand, understand. I need you to understand, overstand, and understand. Brother Jose.
Sí, señor, ¿cómo está?
Peace and love, good brother. You got any time to slide by today?
Sí, tengo 5 minutos.
As soon as possible. How soon can you get here?
15 minutos, 20.
601 East 17th Street, Wilmington.
Okay.
We're right around the corner from the Boys and Girls Club.
Sí, comprende,
601 East 17th Street,
Mm-hmm.
Wilmington, Delaware.
Comprende, sí. Can I come now? Why are you sniffing? You sniff time? What's going on? Turn the heat down.
Yes, sir. I need you to look at two things, Brother Jose.
Okay.
The first thing is the HVAC unit on our small gym has to be switched out.
Sí.
The company that produced the existing unit can replicate another unit.
¿Qué?
I just need to find a tech who is able to replace the unit when the new one has completed production.
Okay, no problema.
Which will take about 60 days, the company has told me.
¿Qué?
So I need you to look at it, let me know if you can do it, and what will the cost be for you to remove this old one, put the new one in, and the new one is going to look identical to the old one, but it's a more modern version.
¿Qué? No comprende.
We're going to buy the unit.
Okay.
Okay, so that's number one. I want you to look at that. Number two
is
on the small school, Brother Jose.
Okay.
We have a roof unit that has to be replaced.
¿Qué?
We've already got the new unit produced. It is sitting in storage. But I have not been able to find a tech who can get the permit, block off the street, bring the crane, lift the new unit up on top of the school, tie it all in. So that unit has been sitting. It was delivered on November the 1st.
November?
And it's been sitting there for 3 months, Jose. So,
Tres?
And it's the same unit. All we did was order a replica of what's up there because it was custom made.
Pero no comprende. Don't make no sense, my friend. Okay? You go where you want me to come. I can look. You tell me what you want.
I'm not sure because it went straight to storage, and I'll share with you where that is. But it's supposed to be identical. It's supposed to be identical to the one up there. It is at a crane yard, and I have the address. It's not far from the school.
Is a crane yard? You say crane yard, huh? You're too funny.
Okay.
Huh? Sí, pero tú tengo the
Yes, sir.
Huh? The money? You have the money? I got ¿cuánto? Tell me how much you pay.
No problem. I'm here waiting on you. Keep me posted.
How much?
Okay. Thanks, Jose. All
Hello?
right.
Hello? All right. Shout out to Brother Jose. I miss Brother Jose. I might have to bring him back. Someone said 12 años. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning on in. Cookie Crush, that's undefeated.
FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming.
What's up,
FDMG is coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Good night, Laurie. Thanks for tuning in.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
FDMG is coming. FDMG is coming. Thought his personality be twerking. It's twerking.
Well, that's crazy right there, Devon. All right. Thank you guys again for tuning on. And shout out to Information, man. I didn't even know you were here. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning on in, brother. Salute everybody else, Indigo and Derek and Crystal and Ken, Laurie. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow with another live stream. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Also, thanks to everyone who's supported with the super chats, etc. I really do appreciate that humbly. I love you all, and I'll talk to y'all soon. All right. Take care. Peace.